Cascade Mountains. This is S-4! Sit back, relax, and keep your eyes to the skies.
Greetings, folks, and welcome to S4, where we talk about the serious issues involving paranormal and current events, coming to you live here from the S4 headquarters in the heart of the Cascade Mountains in our studio in Cape Horn, Concrete, Washington. So tonight, not much of an intro, because it's the April Roundtable, one of our favorite shows of the month, because we don't have to research, it kind of frees up the week. We just have
no
to think
homework.
We don't, absolutely not. It's such a bitch having to do homework for homeland security issues, and then depending on what the S4 topic's going to be, and day-to-day life, homeschooling kids and gardening and everything else now. So, yeah. So how's everyone doing tonight? So we have Arnold and Daniel. We have Joe, our geologist in California, home of the wildfires. And we have Barry Gout, our Kentucky MUFON director and host of Into the Fire Paranormal Radio.
Alright.
If he's here. Are you here?
I'm here.
Excellent.
Hey,
Excellent.
Barry. Hey, Barry.
All right. So, hell, I need a
Quick shout out to Tim and PBR. Thanks for joining us as always, guys.
Absolutely.
You guys rock.
Absolutely. And I did a post, so if you want S4 merchandise, go to www.s-4radio.com and click on the store.
Before some of it disappears.
Yes.
Yeah, because we are cutting down. But we're keeping Cole's apron, so don't worry, you're safe. Make sure you get Cole's apron, because you have to get the S4 apron so you can do an S4 barbecue.
It's bulletproof. I promise.
Don't say that.
Oh.
We got to test that out?
Huh? Sure. Kayla, wear the apron.
Hey.
Well, aliens don't die, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
you're
we're
good.
good. I guess
You're
we're
safe.
good.
Oh, God. Anyway. So, yes, it's a balmy 80 degrees here in Concrete. I think you got most of your gardening done, did you?
Oh, yeah. My garden's all planted, and it's popping up like crazy.
I'm getting my corn, pumpkins, ornamental corn, and gourds in tomorrow. I know Izzy is getting all the rest of the stuff in tomorrow.
I spent my weekend killing plants, so.
Well, I did that too with the lawnmower, kind of.
Brand.
How about you guys? Do you guys have gardens going yet?
Well, I think it's really sweet that you guys are doing gardening and all that. I'm doing fire abatement around my place. Probably be doing it all summer long.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Cutting
Throw
down
a couple
trees.
seeds in there, and you can call that gardening.
Right?
It's gardening.
No,
Gardening with a vengeance.
You're doing weeding without the planting.
There you go.
Yeah.
Wow.
I don't need any more
what we're doing
damn
here in
plants.
Kentucky
Right?
Some beautification.
So
Joe's place.
how did you survive the giant quail attack?
Hey, that's
The quail
one of my
attack was
paranormal
horrible.
questions. My gosh.
Oh no, that's not a roundtable question.
The quail attack.
Well, is there a new species of crypto out there called killer quail?
No, it's the bearded
Mega
quail.
Like a quail.
Is that in relation to the murder hornet?
That feels
Yes,
like
I think it is.
that feels like the next Sharknado type movie.
Right?
Friend.
Attack of the Bearded Quail.
Speaking of the murder hornet, apparently, according to the Washington State Department of Agriculture, you're supposed to watch your hummingbird feeders because the murder hornets are about the size of hummingbirds, according to them, and are going after the hummingbird feeders.
Oh my God! May the odds be ever in your favor. Jeez.
We just had 4 found in Kittitas County that way.
Did they?
Yeah.
Has anybody ever seen one of these things? Are they actually the size of bird? Like what? How big are they?
They are. They're
huge.
roughly. If you looked at a small, like, the best thing I can describe it as, if you looked at like a chipmunk, this thing could use a chipmunk as a riding mount.
Oh wow!
Wow.
Like, it is about 2 inches long.
That's a good size bug.
The way the recordings sound, it sounds almost like you're like a very heavy hummingbird would be next to you. Is kind of the sound of it.
But they're underground bees, if I recall.
Yeah, they dig in there and they burrow underground.
They burrow underground in tree roots.
So they can be terrestrial, or they can be or most like an arboreal kind of tree nest, or like the inside of a dead tree.
Yeah. Okay. Well, and that makes sense.
I can't imagine getting stuck.
What is
by
it with
that
all the things
big
that are trying to kill us from Asia? We got the murder hornets from Japan. We've got Fukushima's pouring radiation on us, and then we got COVID.
Right.
Ireland.
I mean, come on, man.
Or Iceland.
Well, you
is
know,
disappearing.
are they misidentifying the murdered hornets, and is it not the wasp that is known as the Cascadia killer?
The
Cascadia killer.
Yes.
Oh God.
Yes, they're about 2 inches. They're about 2 inches long. They're gigantic, and they attack and kill. And they do go to. We have them in Kentucky. Seen them for years around here. So that's what I'm kind of doing. Is it just one of these things that they've taken to that level, or
that's a different one? These ones actually aren't. They're not going to go after you for walking by. They're more of a threat because they will kill an entire beehive, which we need up here.
Yeah, they're knocking off the honeybees.
Yeah,
everybody needs bees.
They'll take out an entire beehive, I believe, in like 20 minutes, if I remember right. They do it. And they do it quick. They cut their heads off. I mean, they're a very savage hornet.
That's insane.
The only defense that the beehives have, 'cause I talked to a professor of entomology here at the college, and the only defense the bees have is if they're a big enough colony that they can literally swarm it and literally cook that hornet to death by creating a heat with their wings.
Wow, man.
And that's a good thing. In the Upriver group, we have Seth Smith, who is our a bee, and I will call him an expert because he's raised bees up here for years and sells honey and whatnot. And he is in with a lot of different bee networks and whatnot. We haven't seen him up here yet. That's a good thing. Because there's companies that bring beehives up behind our house up on the mountain, and they got destroyed by a bear last fall. So no murder hornets, just bears going after the honey. But anyway, Joe, what's your first question tonight?
Oh, I was just wondering, if we've got murder hornets, but no one ever talks about the murder quail.
Yes, exactly.
No,
exactly.
That's in your backyard.
Yeah. All right, here we go.
I sent you
the
the
government
sign to
parks.
keep them away.
This is almost a good question for Arnold here. But most of the government parks, anyway, they've been closed for COVID-19. Some of them are, some of them aren't. Missing 411, David Paulides says Bigfoot. He never really says whether it's Bigfoot or alien abduction. It could possibly be people or just bears or some combination of everything. But it does seem like a hunting ground.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So my question is, when the parks open again, Will there be an increase in Bigfoot alien sightings and missing people?
I think there's going to be, because there's people slowly going back out now in parks, but as more parks get open and more areas get open in the parks, I think you're going to see a lot more things being reported.
I'm going to be honest with you, though. I mean, in the last 2 weeks, we've already had people come up missing up here. They get found. So I don't, honestly, missing 401 is an issue, but living up here, and as you do, Joe, up in the mountains, being affiliated, well, not affiliated, but that's the wrong term, focusing on search and rescue type tactics and whatnot,
Right.
we're going to have people getting lost up here left or right. They always do. It's an annual thing.
Yeah.
Whether it's hunting season, but with COVID, we are going to have a bigger influx of people coming up to the mountains. I mean, we already have
People that don't know. Yeah.
Absolutely, and that's why I push.
We've had that same thing here. People from San Francisco and Sacramento.
Yeah.
They're all locked down completely, and they're heading up here into the foothills, and they're saying, hey, we can do what we want up here, and we've had a lot of problems, a lot of missing people drowning in the rivers.
Yeah. Same thing up here.
And, so running in the community group, we push, the information such as let somebody know where you're going. Don't go by yourself. Go, I believe in the buddy system. Take somebody with you. Take some water, a fire starter. Take some basic essentials. Don't be stupid. Just don't, or you're gonna wind up dead. And whatever. When it comes to missing 401, you do have probably one in. I don't really know what the statistics would be with that. As far as what numbers of missing 401 and how many are just stupid people that go up and go by themselves, unprepared, and get lost and wind up dead.
Well, on the missing 411 side, I would say if it is because of some creature that we don't know about that's been eating people because they taste good,
right?
Okay, and it has had its food source not so readily available, I would assume that it probably, in that case, would kill more people or take more people out just because, hey, all of a sudden there's more berries on this tree, they're going to eat more. You know what I mean? So I think that maybe if that's the type of thing that's causing any of that stuff, that there'll be a few more missing just because of that.
We had one here recently. It's not far away. There was a gal missing. She went up hiking, and they found her at the bottom of a 300-foot cliff. And they were saying, oh, well, she fell off. Unlucky thing. She probably got too close to the edge. Until a couple of guys in the search and rescue said, no, wait a minute. If she fell off the cliff, she would be, this far from the thing. She was found 100 yards from the cliff. In other words, even if she took a running jump, she couldn't have made it that far out.
He was pushed.
It was almost as if someone threw her off.
Right. And Tim says, leave the gun, take the cannoli. Oh, hell no. So, like we said last week, when we were talking about paranormal investigations, I do take a tactical knife on investigations. However, at a bare minimum, along with my normal, I do take my 9mm if we're up on the mountain.
Yeah, but if we're out there, Eric, and I have a cannoli, you're not going to say no.
Probably not. But no, I have no problem with. You have a firearm. Take your firearm when you go up in the mountains when you're hiking. Cougars, bears, other things aside, you have stupid humans up there too that stalk people on trails.
Yep.
That's not a myth.
You see Joe going for a walk dragging a Civil War cannon.
I can see that, actually.
Eric said, bring my firearm.
Yeah, here we go.
That thing's heavy.
They got wheels. Some of them have wheels. You can,
Yes.
Got wheels.
yep. Hook it up to a killer quail.
Damn
Shoot
quail.
the killer quail with the pointy sticks through a cannon.
I'm about to make that a
Right.
D&D class.
Yeah.
Oh man.
But, I don't think...
Also up here we have the, last year we had 4 million acres burned down here.
Right.
And things in the woods moved to other places.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And that was just a couple months ago, and then we had winter finally hit, and it lasted for a couple of months, and then we're back into it's time to start going in the woods.
Yep.
And there's a lot of new things and a lot of new places.
Right.
So maybe there's going to be some interaction somewhere.
Yeah, they're all moving to Joe's house. Hey, when Joe moves, we will move. But we're safe at Joe's house. So there's your killer quail, there's your raccoon, your deer, your fox, your Bigfoot. They feel safe at Joe's house.
Raccoons, they're all here.
You do make a good point, though, with the lack of land from the fires.
Right.
You're going to have all kinds of animals moving down. And, I mean,
Oh, crap.
why wouldn't not only
What?
just regular animals, but
People
why
just
wouldn't the
got smoked.
cryptids do that as well? You know?
Yeah.
So, I mean, I could see where there would be more sightings of cryptids just because they're out in the areas that they weren't before.
Okay, I've got an announcement. We are all going to Montana to go skiing at PBR's house.
Ooh.
Oh, cool.
I got shit to do, man. I'm about to go skiing.
He had snow. It's snowing there right now in northwest Montana.
Wow.
Wow.
Okay.
Nice.
Right?
You can go out and track Bigfoot that way.
No joke,
Yeah.
right?
On snowshoes. So, I don't think a whole lot of the parks actually closed up here. The trailheads and stuff were open.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think they ever closed, did they?
Some
Did
of them did for a period of
There we
time.
go.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think they did. A lot of them.
Razor closed for a
'Cause
while,
they're just-
so did Rockport.
Didn't most of the federal
Yeah.
parks close, but some of the states, it was up to them whether they'd be open or not?
Well, definitely the
parks?
states all closed.
I know that all of the ones towards La Push and Forks area were closed down when we went through there. So,
Those are federal, though, I think.
yeah.
Right. They're just opening up a bunch of the state parks now.
Yeah.
But Rainier was open when we went in July.
Yeah.
Yeah, Rainier was open.
So,
Part of it.
I don't...
But
well,
not
yeah.
all of it. There was half
They
of
had
it
just
that we couldn't
reopened
get
most
to.
of it.
Yeah.
But was the canyon closed due to COVID? I don't think so.
We don't know.
That's what they didn't give us a reason for the
I
ones
think,
that
like-
closed.
I think the aliens landed in the canyon and they had to shut it off.
Yellowstone closed, which I don't
True.
understand that.
True.
Like, they put the buffalo back in their boxes, I guess.
I want a buffalo.
Oh,
They're expensive.
yeah,
Jesus.
they are.
Friend, I went to one auction for buffalo, and yeah, they're pricey.
A couple grand.
Really?
The cheapest we saw was $3,500.
Damn.
Friend.
That's
If
over
I
my,
could teach
That's-
the buffalo,
that's
if I
over my
could teach the
budget.
buffalo to pull the cannon, I'm ready to go.
There
Right?
you go.
All right, so will
Next.
missing 411 increase? We'll track it. We'll see, because I know, David Paulides does a weekly YouTube on his channel. If you go on Can-Am Missing, just look for it on YouTube. He's got a channel that he actually does a weekly discussion and talks about prior cases and things like that, and anything current that's coming up. But that's a good question. Things are going to open back up. Things are going to close again. They're going to reopen. It is what it is.
Well, here's another thought on that too, though, is like you guys are talking, all that burned area where people normally probably wouldn't go off the trail and explore
Right.
because it was so thick with brush. They're going to go explore possibly new areas
Oh, yeah.
and
Yeah.
walk into stuff they didn't know what was there.
Right, exactly. Because the brush is not going to be that thick yet.
No, Daniel and I just walked into Humtainham Falls while we were over there last weekend. Yeah, last weekend, and there was an area. I mean, you could have walked anywhere out there through where normally you probably couldn't have.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't think about that part, but
the thing is,
I actually did see one deer that came through here last fall, and it looked like he was singed on one side.
oh, poor guy.
mm-hmm.
Fur burned off.
Right.
Wish I could have done something for him, but
Well,
Ain't
let
no
me
way
ask
to
you
touch
what
'em.
your opinion is of these, since these new areas are out that way and they're going to be open more and everything else. Do you think that it's are they using a portal to abduct people with? What's your opinion of that?
oh yeah, it could be Bigfoot, it could be aliens, it could be portals, it could be bears and cougars, it could be idiots just getting lost, or it could be people in the woods, or some combination of all of those things.
I think it's a combination of all of those things.
Actually,
Yeah.
we're actually talking missing people. I believe in June.
Yeah, I think so. I think it was June.
I think that's what was on my schedule.
How are we going to talk to them if we're missing?
A spirit box. We're gonna get
We're going to talk to missing people.
Yeah. All right.
We're tying a rope around you, Cole, and we're putting you in the hole that they were last seen.
I'm tired, damn it. No, we'll be talking about the missing 401 situation in like June or July.
Good deal.
Yeah, I think
Unless
that
we're
would.
missing.
Oh, unless we're missing, yeah, absolutely.
We're only doing that rope thing if I get to bring the rope.
Oh,
Last time white people handed a native something made out of cloth, it didn't go so well, guys.
no,
I'm not doing this again.
That was smallpox, wasn't it?
We'll get the best rope we can at the dollar store, Cole.
I'm definitely getting
Worry
COVID
about
now.
who's holding the rope.
Can you imagine how many dollars worth of ropes you would need to lower somebody into anything?
And they'd all break. What are you talking about? The dollar store.
Yeah.
Good God.
Oh, no.
I'm going to go ahead and ask my question because, one of my first question, because it really ties in with what you're talking about with the fires. It's going to be a bad fire season. Cole reminded me it actually started last year in March. We already have fires going now. Mm-hmm. How do you think that impacts Bigfoot or any other cryptid? Do you think Bigfoot, if he's interdimensional, can just shift into his own dimension? Oh my God, there's a fire, and be gone? Or with the other ones that we hear about that are migratory, what do you think?
It's the only time he cooks his food.
Right? True. Well, he's already got pre-cooked food. It's a fire. But, it reminds me of the Mount St. Helens explosion back in 83?
80.
80.
It was 80.
Yeah. And, this hasn't been proven. There were certain National Guardsmen that came out, in theory, came out and said they were called in because they actually found 2 living Bigfoot and one was deceased, and they had to carry them out. They took them to Fort Lewis because Fort Lewis is right there, and then they were shipped to a facility in California. Now, is that valid? I don't know. I haven't been able to find any either confirm or deny that one.
I've heard that story a few times, and if they are interdimensional and they're using portals, then why didn't they use them? Then it kind of lends credence to the fact that this is
They're not.
just something that's in the woods.
So, when you're talking a fire versus a
If I had a
volcano,
portal, I'd
however-
use it.
Yeah, but if you're talking a volcano all of a sudden blast versus a fire, which is kind of predictable. Oh my God! Heavy smoke and there's a plane coming towards me. I can shift. A volcano was kind of quick.
Well, and to be honest, it would depend on how fast it came towards you and
Right.
the smoke inhalation and everything. Because if you didn't move fast enough, the smoke itself is going to
Could
take you
overwhelm
out
you.
beforehand.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Maybe the portals are affected by the smoke.
is a possibility.
There's not enough we know about interdimensional or portals or whatnot in relation to environmental issues.
And maybe fire is just one of those things that can also go in between dimensions. That'd be kind of creepy. You shift, and all of a sudden the fire comes with you. Right, that's what I'm saying. So maybe they couldn't do it.
Yeah. Or have you thought of the thing that maybe the Bigfoot's the person that's creating the fire?
I wouldn't think
Smokey the Bear's going to kick their ass.
Right?
Well, there has been researchers that have seen them in cave areas and so forth at night and seen a fire close by.
Yeah, but
where
I'd be hiding
maybe
in a
they are
cave if there was a fire,
some
too.
sort.
I think my problem with that is, wouldn't you see that more often?
Well, you do see a lot of fires. I mean,
Well, you do see a
We've
lot.
got a lot of fires.
No, I'm not talking about California. I'm talking in general.
just in general, you do see a lot of things catch on fire and there's a lot of unknown reasons why.
Right.
So, I mean, it could be some kind of a dimensional shift, or it could be maybe opening a portal starts a fire. I mean,
maybe just the ones that live in California are careless.
Right?
That could be it. That
You better. Okay, I've got a new mission for you, Joe.
Well,
you need to go teach fire safety to Bigfoot.
yeah,
try.
there you go.
That's your new job.
Sometimes they listen, sometimes they don't.
Well, I don't. The strange thing for me about the California fires, and for me not being out there, it's like distance. But I did see quite a lot of pictures and so forth. And the pictures were quite disturbing.
Yes,
And it was almost like it was some of the houses and some of the things were destroyed with precision.
Yep.
And I wonder if it wasn't something else that is starting those fires, that for a reason. I mean, I saw houses that were almost like melted down, and half of the house is there and the other half is not there. I saw cars and everything else turned upside down. Not normal what you find, like they've been thrown around.
Not with a
Not
fire.
normal
No.
what you see. Not normal what you see in a fire. The way that they just left one house standing in a neighborhood, and the other one was like just in another area was just
demolished.
disintegrated.
Yeah.
I mean,
Right.
literally disintegrated.
And what you have to look at with that too, outside of the paranormal realm or outside of the conspiracy realm, is some homeowners take care of their home. They get rid of the trees from around their home. They actually water down their home. So, I mean, it all depends on fire education with different individuals. Did they actually prepare their home because they knew the fire was coming? Versus other ones, maybe they had an older roof, or they had an older home that was renovated, but not all of it.
Well, it was interesting that there was one just over the hill from me, maybe half a mile away, and we went over there after the Lobo fire. That was 2 years ago. And it was a nice big house, and it had defensible space almost 100 yards all the way around this place. Mm-hmm. And you could see where the house was, and it was down to the foundation. There was nothing left. The chimney was gone, everything. And the grass around the house was still green.
Green. Yeah, that's the stuff that scares me. That's what I'm talking about.
The house was just gone.
Yeah, it's like...
You gotta also understand that
it's
fire...
disintegrated. I mean, when a chimney burns down, you know what kind of heat that is?
Yeah.
There are trees that burn in the middle of it, and you'll still see trees standing, in
So
a burn.
I'm playing devil's advocate here, because if you know fire science, it also depends on the wind tunnel. It depends on the wind. It depends on...
the wind blowing embers.
Absolutely.
Right. But I mean,
and
when
that's
it
the other
burns,
thing. So, okay, if you've ever had a brush pile that you've started on fire, right? Mm-hmm. Now, let's say you were to throw, like, a mattress or a couch or something of that nature on top of it. I'm not suggesting you do, but let's say you do.
What?
Okay.
Throw a pine tree on top of it. I mean,
You burned a mattress?
No. I'm saying, okay, so if you are to throw something that's highly flammable on top of, like, a burn pile, okay, you are going to get a really, really hot heat for a period of time, and it's going to burn out everything underneath of it. But you still are going to have grass around the edges of it. You're still going to have a line.
That's how you can tell arson versus a natural fire.
Yes, but that's what I'm saying, though, is if embers jump or anything, or if the fire itself does a jump, which it can do depending on wind and air and conditions and everything else, if it were to catch something that's highly flammable and it burns that hot heat, then everything that's in that house, your couches, your chairs, your mattresses...
anything flammable.
Yes, it is going to burn such a hot heat that it will bring it down to nothing.
Yeah.
But it might not singe the grass around it, because that doesn't happen all the time. It doesn't.
Right.
Otherwise, every single time you were burning brush in any way, you would have your entire yard go up.
So, are we ever going to know the truth behind the fires in California? Absolutely not.
No.
No,
that's why I feel. I mean,
Well, I think I was talking to you guys last year. It was during the fall when some of the big ones started. We had these lightning storms that came through. And this was like no other lightning I've ever seen in my life anywhere. I've been out on the Great Plains when they had the huge lightning storms. This stuff was almost something out of a sci-fi movie.
Yeah, that was insane.
The
It
way
was
it was
like
coming
something like
down
10,000 strikes. Yeah.
Yeah, 10,000 strikes, and every one of them started a fire.
Yep.
One of the fires was actually named the Lightning Complex.
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
And it built, millions of acres, and it was scary as hell watching this stuff.
Right.
I think another, and I don't know if you guys have the logging issue or not, but I think some of the areas are overlogged. They're not replanted, so you don't have the natural green vegetation that you would normally would. They do that in Washington a lot. Not everywhere, but I think some of it's man-made.
Down here, it's just the opposite.
Really?
They're not logging, and they're not clearing the forest. They're not doing abatement.
What? And
everything's got to be unicorns and rainbows, and we got to leave everything the way it is, and it overgrows, and then poof.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's the other. That's the other end of it. They need to thin out the dead wood. They need to clean up the dry stuff so it doesn't start a fire. So that it's a very fine line, I guess, balancing between the two.
Mm-hmm. Now, I will say, though, that is something that I have noticed over the past few years. And it seems to change year after year after year with the weird-ass weather. Okay? We have had some of the weirdest-ass weather these last couple of years, and I don't know if it's like global warming, greenhouse gases, all this stuff that they're talking about, whether it's CERN, whether it's... who knows?
Right.
What is actually HARP, all of that jazz. It can be all kinds of things, but we have had some really bizarre weather in all of the states. Like, all over the world, we've had some weird shit happen.
Well, and just looking at the crazy windstorm we had here in February.
Yeah, that was insane.
January. I mean, you looked it up, and it's what, every 100 years that same pattern goes through. Mm-hmm. So is it CERN? Is it HARP? Or is it just a natural occurrence that happens every 100 years on this planet?
Yeah, but then why does everything always have to happen exactly 100 years apart? Why can't it just wait?
Because we're stuck here because we're 100 years apart now.
Right.
But no, absolutely.
Life cycle.
Some of it is government caused. Some of it is paranormal. I'm not saying it's not. I'm just saying it's crazy from our perspective that we're used to everything being a conspiracy, but not all it is.
No, definitely. I'm just saying, I have never seen some of this crazy-ass weather stuff.
Well,
one thing you just mentioned there was that the government might be doing it, and if there are people out there listening that think, the government can't do this stuff, or other governments can't affect us, in 1972, I believe it was, at the height of the Cold War, Russia and the United States signed a treaty saying we're not going to use weather modification techniques on each other. That was 50 years ago.
Absolutely.
Well, I'm going to go on. I'm going to go on a limb here too and say if you don't think the government will do it, 2001 they did it when they flew 2 airplanes into the World Trade Center.
Oh.
That's documented.
Yeah, exactly. And
that's documented.
I'll go with you on that.
It's being taught. The intelligence community warned the Bush administration is going to happen, and some of them got fired. The other ones got silenced. So
they even have it documented down in Mississippi, where they've got that thing that concentrates down condensation to resend back up into the atmosphere to create rain.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Like that's a small thing they're working on, but just imagine the stuff that they, that's what they release to us, not what they keep on the docket.
You know what?
Yeah, but what's bizarre about it and how it becomes where you look at it and say, yes, they're trying to kill us all because of the fact that these things, we do know that these things exist of weather modification and they can do it. Then why in the hell don't they make it rain when these fires are coming?
And that's what's weird too, because y'all remember in the 1800s, Farmer Jim was shooting buckshot and salt up into the clouds to make it rain with a shotgun.
No, absolutely.
Right.
So
we had rainmakers back then. I mean, native.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
we've been doing weather modification since
the dawn of humanity.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's the government got smart and said, "Oh, we can do this with technology," and they did. Anyway.
Yeah, but isn't it a shame that they could do something about it? I mean, how do you stop fire? Water. Rain is water. The last time I looked.
This is the thing, though, that might be the reasoning for part of that. Is okay. So let's say that they are modifying weather, obviously, in certain areas, in certain places. But if you noticed, you'll get a torrential downpour in this one area, and an area that has never had massive droughts like that before, all of a sudden has massive droughts. So maybe it's one of those butterfly effect things, where if they did do something about this, it might cause something catastrophic somewhere else.
What do droughts cause?
What do droughts cause?
Yep.
Droughts cause
food shortage.
To not be able to do food.
Yes.
To not be able to grow.
Shortage.
Yeah. So how do you control the masses? You affect the food chain.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean,
and what are we talking about right now? We're talking about food shortages.
Yep.
We're talking about all these things because of the fact.
You got to think about what this might be doing to other sections. So if you're taking the rain and you're moving it from here to here, well, it's causing issues over here that weren't happening before. If you're adding
they're not
this
moving
to that,
they're not moving it. They're just keeping it away.
Right.
Or they can create it. I mean, why do you think that here in Kentucky that all of a sudden it rains and we get 18 inches of rain?
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying is that nothing can come from nothing. Okay, everything has to have like certain particles that are mixed together, certain amounts of atoms to it, and everything else.
Yeah.
So if we are creating it, we're not creating it. We're taking that from somewhere else.
I mean, anybody that knows anything is going to be sitting around one day, and you're going to look up in the sky and you're going to see chemtrails. I can guarantee you, in 2 days, you're going to have a rainstorm.
Yep.
It don't matter. You could set your watch by it. Had some amazing chemtrails.
But that's a whole other
nice day today, and it's raining right now. Here.
That's a whole other show because you got to bring in the alien aspect of chemtrails too, because that's been seen.
We never did nothing.
No, right.
Yeah.
So, Daniel, since you're new to the round table, what's your first question tonight?
So, I don't know if it fits with the Bigfoot half, but I had a trying to think of the right terminology, like a lucid, like plane shifting type of dream, like astral projection. There we go. Mm-hmm. And I was in where I call kind of the starting area for when I go into these dreams. Mm-hmm. It's kind of just an open, flat plane. Nothing really is there. And then I'll go to the next spot where like a message will be or something of that matter. And the interesting part was I actually went up in the Quartz Mountain area and was at the bottom of this ravine and was told to go up to the mountain. And I couldn't find a message in that. But doing some research and talking to a couple people that I know from around here, they've been having an increased amount of like odd things happening around their place. more on the cryptid side. Because, like, one guy, he said that he's had a skinwalker or that type of thing come around his place late at night.
Okay.
And they're within 6 miles of where I was roughly on the dream. Because I had been to that location before, but not the mountain that I was told to go up to.
Yeah.
Okay,
so I was curious.
What's your question?
So I was curious in that sense, like, would that be something possible that'd be like some telling me to go there that's a cryptid, like having a form of communication, or would that be like a forcing, like a fae being trying to get me to go over there?
So it could be either one, yeah, absolutely. Because we've had people say that, oh well, Bigfoot talks to me and telepathically or whatnot. I don't take this the wrong way. I have a hard time with that one. In your case, could it be them talking to you in your dreams? Absolutely.
Yeah.
Could it be fae? It could. I think the bottom line is, how did it feel, energy-wise? Could you
the thing with you, though, that I've noticed, what we were talking about last week, is that you seem to have a heavy connection with spirits. Okay?
Yeah.
And that they draw you to certain areas sometimes. So, honestly, what I would believe, I mean, just throwing it out there, but it would be more likely that it's some form of spirit trying to get you to come and either release them or help them or show you the path that they took to where they went missing or whatever it is that they're trying to get across to you, because you seem to have a heavy presence when it comes to spirits.
Right.
Have you checked it out yet?
I haven't, because the area is kind of further off of where most of the vehicles my friends have would be able to go.
Okay.
Because roughly off of like what I found on like Google Maps, it's if you went to actually like the lookout up on Quartz Mountain, it's the next mountain over. Because at the base there's a really fine like little stream down there, so I was looking at it through like geographical landmarks and stuff.
Do you have anybody, any friends that have a drone?
Not over here now, sadly.
Okay.
Well, you also got to think about the fact that quartz in itself holds energy,
right,
and can hold information and all kinds of other things within it. So if you're thinking about the fact that this is a heavy quartz area as well, there's going to be a higher amount of energy that's pulling you towards it,
right,
from whatever it would be.
It's magnified messages through the quartz.
It would be magnifying the message that it's trying to get across to you.
Okay.
So
just pay attention to it and document.
Yeah.
You're gonna get tired of me saying that. Go ahead.
Eric, so on another thing, last week when we got done, Daniel and I talked, and we come to a conclusion. All his things that started happening to him were when we were around historical sites, when I was in state parks. So, meaning could be many things coming through, but from the Hyack, where we lived, was historical. Olmsted, we went all through them. Nothing really happened where there wasn't a historical theme, but you go back to where historical issues were taking place, that's where most of his stuff started happening.
See, when something happens of historical nature, when something happens that makes something a historical site, it's usually battles, or it's something where there's a lot of chaos
energy in those areas
and stuff like that in there. So you will be getting pulled more where there's more presence to pull you.
Well, and there's gonna be more spirits stuck in historical sites, because like Kayla said, there are a lot of more battle scenes or death in general from disease, or think of not the Pilgrim days, but think of the old days where they didn't have the medical and the technology we have today, and a lot of them died. They died from hypothermia in wintertime. They died from the Civil War.
Right. And the other thing that not a lot of people think about either is animals also have their own spirits. So if it was a site that got deforested and a whole bunch of animals died, or it was a site where there was an oil spill that killed a bunch of animals, that spirit also has energy. It's not just human spirit that has the energy.
Right. So, yeah, and like I said, you're going to get tired of me saying this, but just keep documenting it. And when it comes to a point where you actually feasibly can go check out the location. Some of the quartz mountains not really feasible as far as getting there safely. I wouldn't suggest hiking. If you do, take a weapon, ground and shield, take a friend or 2 or 3 or 4. But definitely don't go to these spots by yourself.
And with you too, trees and flowers and nature in itself has its own type of energy and its own type of pull and its own type of spirit to it. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so when you grew up in that area, you grew up around national parks. You grew up in the areas where there would be heavy activity of that kind too.
You said trees. Dryads. Dryads are awesome. Dryads are the spirit of the tree. And yes, they can move from tree to tree. So if a tree is dying, that dryad will leave and go to another tree. There's a lot, but you know what? There's a lot of arguing about that, but who really knows? I do believe dryads travel from tree to tree as needed. But yeah, so you could be hearing from dryads. You could be hearing from some other form of fae.
Absolutely. There's a lot of things that could be trying to contact you, and because you do have the sensitivity to pick it up, you might even be getting multiple things coming through at the same time.
Which is confusing in itself.
Yeah.
But you said in historical sites, yeah, absolutely, you could be getting a spirit. You could be just getting the residual energy from what happened on the historical site.
Right.
Being a sensitive, you're a little bit more unique than just a normal person that might be contacted by a spirit, because you're going to feel the residual energies are there. So with a lot of residual energies, these are the cases where you have a client that says they saw the same woman walk through the hallway every month at a certain time of period. It's kind of like a record being replayed over and over again. There is no intelligence to them, though. You're not going to catch a spirit, but you're not going to get a conversation from these because they're not really there. It's just an energy that's there.
Okay.
But that's what you could be picking up. Just from the energy of it, not from the spirit or the individual.
Absolutely.
What's your thoughts, Barry? Where is Barry? Barry.
I'm here. I'm sorry, I was talking. I have a mic muted, so excuse me.
So what's your thoughts on all this?
On all of that?
Yep.
Truthfully, I think that, when you... I go the other way with as far as going, yes, something is communicating with him. Yes, something wants to talk to him. Obviously, he has the ability to hear that, and they want to interact with him. It's also can be extremely dangerous, though. You have to be careful on what you're interacting with and why you're doing it. Okay. Sometimes it's not the best thing to do to say, hey, okay, I'm dreaming about this area. Let's go up here. That may be a trap. I don't know what you guys think about it, but I
didn't think about that. Yeah.
I don't.
With traps or not, if you're grounded and shielded, you're going to be fine.
Yeah.
I would say for the most part, yes, but there are certain things that can break that shield, especially if it's not a strong one.
Usually, if you go on site, yes.
Right.
But that's what he's saying. Like
going into its neighborhood.
Right.
You're being called there, so it already has control of you. So that's the problem.
Right.
Yeah.
It's already, you're already given it. You know, if you answer to its call, then your protection is basically out the window because you are acting on what it's telling you to do.
Yeah, that makes sense.
You know, and so it kind of weakens you in a way. So you have to be very careful because this is all about, you know, trickery, and you know, they're very sneaky. They have reasons for doing everything, you know, and they may want to call you out there to show you something, and it may be very, very great, or it may be that they want to say, we don't need another one of these people that can see and understand what we're doing, and we want to change that attitude immediately.
Right.
I know it's not the greatest thing to say, but it's something that I would be definitely thinking about.
Yeah, and definitely since it's going into a different spot than where I've been, like something like when I've been to places before, I'll have like an astral dream about it, kind of in a remembrance, but not in the same way as like these ones are. These ones are very heavily like
pulling you there, aren't they?
Yeah.
Well, and you are, from what I've gathered, a little bit newer to your abilities, and you aren't 100% sure what you are capable of and what you are not capable of yet. You're still in that in-between stage of not really knowing. So I would suggest, honestly, to just document it, like Eric was saying, and to make a journal about it. And if it continuously happens, maybe go. But go once you are capable of really knowing what you're capable of doing. Don't just head out there now without having more practice and more time under your belt.
And listen to your dad, and your dad listens to me. So we're all good. So anyway, let's see here. And I disagree to an extent. If you're in your home and you're getting these dreams, you're shielded and protected in your home, you're fine. Your home is your sanctuary. Yes, things can get there. I'm not arguing that point. But if you're doing the protection that we talked about last week, if you got your black tourmaline, it's charged properly, you're grounded, you're shielded. Have demons ever gotten into a sanctuary home? Absolutely. But you have to listen to your gut at the same time.
Right.
Well, I agree with you, Eric, in a lot of manners, but you also have to remember something is when you are astral, you are actually taking a trip. You are leaving your space. And that's the whole deal. When you astral out there, it is extremely dangerous. Others can look at you, others see you. There are people in the military that astral all the time and watch. Depends on where you're going and what's going on.
He's not astraling.
Well, I thought he mentioned astral.
Okay. So in that aspect of it, it's an astral dream for me to go into an area where I've never been, but close to where I've been. So, like, if I was to dream like I was up at the parking lot up at Quartz Mountain, that wouldn't be a big deal. But I was over at the bottom, facing the next mountain.
Mm-hmm. So, when you say astral dream, are you talking more of a remote viewing then versus an actual astral?
No, like full body. You can feel grass, pain.
All you're doing is you're going somewhere that it was not familiar to you. That's what you're saying. And with astral, you can go anywhere that you decide to be, even if you've never been there before.
Yeah, I know that one.
Yeah, and that's what I mean. You lose everything. You don't have a sanctuary at your house because everything changes. Because even if you look back at your body and you look at your room and you astral, you will notice that things are different within your room, even though it's your room. There are things that are placed different. There's other things that are all different. And,
it's
because you are actually out traveling.
It's almost like seeing a parallel flip of what you normally see.
Exactly.
From my viewpoint of it.
Exactly. And are you aware that that you can get an astral and you will come back with that hurt?
Yeah. There's one dream that I had that I was going down a ravine and I was trying to get out from something, and I can't remember what it was, but I had slipped and kind of bashed my leg against a rock. And when I woke up the next day, I didn't have bruising or anything like that, but I could still feel that same spot being painful.
Yeah, I've had swelling in the whole 9 yards. If something happens to my wrist or something like that, I will have pain. Your body is, when you go back to your vessel, whatever was done to your spirit is felt through your vessel.
Yeah.
All right, on that note, it is time for our first break tonight. When we come back, Barry, you're up.
All righty. Can't wait.
We'll be right back.
Talking about UFOs.
Are listening to S4 on Spreaker.com.
Welcome back to S-4 with your host, Eric Cooper.
And welcome back to S-4 for our second hour tonight. So the next one up, we have Barry, and it sounds like it's going to be a UFO question. I love UFO questions.
Well, and all the stuff that's happening that's just recently with these new triangles from 2019, you know, and everybody's weighing in on it and everything else, and we still have the same stuff. And I want to know what people, you know, what we all think of what is actually going on here. Is there disclosure? Everything that I've been watching and listening to, and when, you know, these videos were.
Did you cheat and look at my paper? What the hell?
Yeah. Well, you only put down 5 questions, and luckily I got a chance to get in before you did.
Yeah, I'm still here. You asked to my house and looked at my paper.
Exactly.
Sorry.
But, you know,
Well, an interesting thing about it is that video, the one you're talking about, the triangles. In fact, they're not calling them triangles anymore. They're calling them pyramids. They're calling them pyramids.
Yeah.
Now, that video supposedly came from a Navy destroyer.
Mm-hmm.
Now, normally, I don't think we would have seen that. I mean, whoever released that probably would have got thrown in the brig for a long time if they had.
Right.
But they are releasing things just slowly. But why did they go to pyramids instead of just triangles?
You know what? We had the same discussion at my house tonight because my father-in-law brought that up, and I guess my confusion, and Izzy kind of clarified that a pyramid has multiple sides versus a triangle that is usually flat. And I am still kind of confused because, you know, yes, a pyramid is three-dimensional, but when I think of a flying pyramid, I think of an actual pyramid flying straight up, you know, versus sideways, or, you know, the triangle or the pyramid turning on its side and flying like you kind of see in this video. And so for our listeners, folks, actually Izzy posted the video on our S4 website, so you can go actually look at it.
www.s-4radio.com.
And the flying pyramid video is actually posted on the website for tonight's show.
Well, I'm just saying, that's kind of shapist of you.
Huh?
Oh, God.
That's kind of shapist of you. Thinking pyramids can only go up and down?
Am I a shapist now?
Messed
Oh,
up.
my God, no.
No, but seriously, okay,
you
so
know, from what I can gather from this, these videos came from George Knapp and another person.
Absolutely, Jeremy Corbyn. Or,
exactly.
Corbyn. The guy that made the
Bob
Lazar video.
Corbell.
There you go.
Right. You know, and yes, it was released by them, but isn't it odd how they released it? I mean, it's kind of like the government says.
A little bit.
Isn't it odd that all of a sudden the Pentagon's working with 2 ufologists?
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
I mean, granted, George Knapp to me is the he's the best in the field when it comes to journalism. I'll say
he's dealt with Bigelow, all the other stuff. He deals with all that stuff, you know.
So if you were going to pick somebody,
and the interesting thing is too, when those videos came out, it only took like one day for the Pentagon to say, "Yep, those are real."
I know it was quick.
The last ones, it took a year or two before they said anything.
Well, do you remember? I mean, I remember the videos coming out, and people were going like, "Oh, that's a balloon" or something, because they actually even showed the one that was up close, and they had a picture of another UFO was involved in that, and people were going, "Oh, that's a balloon. That's this is that," you know. And all of a sudden, now it's like, "Oh no,
nope,
that's a pyramid." You know, this is an alien. And the strange thing about it is when I even watch Tucker Carlson, because he always carries on stuff about UFOs, and he's always on top of it. He's one of the only ones that really do that in the media. Mm-hmm. And again, they were talking about this bizarre thing that is going, we don't know what they are. We need to find out who's driving them, who's doing this, and are they a threat to us? We don't have that kind of technology. What are they going to do? Is this a threat to us? Or over our our military. Our military can't do anything with it. And what is the threat? This is a threat, you know. And
the part I thought was interesting is they're saying, you know, a lot of people are saying, well, shoot it. Why didn't they shoot it? It's like, okay, they have rules of engagement.
Right.
But
if
there's an inflatable boat with two jihadists in it racing toward a destroyer, they're going to blow it out of the water.
Right.
Right, exactly.
Well, you've got some unknown things flying over your destroyers, and you know it's not yours. Why didn't they shoot the thing down?
You think it's cool, and we're going to make a video of it, but we're not going to engage.
Right.
You know,
exactly.
But that's also the difference. A couple of you jihadists you're racing a boat that you know has explosives in it because it's racing towards the boat. That's a threat. Now, a flying pyramid, is it shooting at you? Is it posing, you know, is it coming too close? Is it posing any kind of a threat? No. So,
my mind...
Well, you know what I say is, you know, we've talked about it here recently when we went back and talked about the things we did with UFOs just recently with going back into... the Magick 12, Magic 12, all that stuff, you know,
right.
J12. And what we came through with that is that we know that the government knows that we've had these things forever.
Yeah.
So for me, when they talk,
now, yeah.
For me, when they talk, okay, go ahead. Sorry.
No, go ahead, honey. No, go ahead.
When they talk about a flying pyramid, okay, if you're going to see it on its side and it is flying through the sky, it is going to look like your Dorito shape or whatever from the distance that you're looking at it. Okay, so it is going to be your triangle-shaped craft. If it's turned on its side and it is flying,
right,
and you are looking at it from the ground, it is not going to look three-dimensional. It's going to look one-dimensional because it's the side that's showing. Hey.
I'm also going to bring up a good point that Sherry brings up in the chat room. They don't engage with it because it's not new to them. And I would probably agree with that. We're only just now hearing about the military exposing bringing up these videos. Is this new to the military? Oh, hell no.
Well,
not by any means.
When I think of a pyramid-shaped craft, okay, I automatically go back to ancient Egypt and them talking about the bin stones.
Right.
Okay, and how they were these gaps that came and they landed and they took off and nobody can find them anywhere. It's the top of the damn pyramid. Okay?
Well, it seems pretty obvious that the flying pyramids, the Egyptians are behind it.
Exactly. Gotta be.
Now...
But like you said, the fact that they said pyramid and not triangle... means they know something.
I'd agree with you on that. But in the same article that the pyramid video was in, they actually talk about another craft that submerged into the water.
Yeah, seen those pictures.
They sent the submarine to look for it. They couldn't find it. There was no crash residue because those of us who have been in this field for a while know that wasn't a UFO. It was a USO. An unidentified submergible object. And they've been leaving and, coming and going from our oceans, lakes. There have been reports of UFOs, floating underneath a river. So by all means, yeah. There's nothing new to them. And in fact, I'm pretty sure our Air Force, our Navy, definitely our Army, has been interacting and dealing with UFOs for many, many, many years.
Okay, so the other thing is that they were talking about, well, why don't they just shoot them?
Right.
Okay, if nobody has ever actually seen one of these before, like looking at it from the other side, if you shoot it, and it is, let's say, some kind of an alien craft, well, you don't know if you just made galactic war with a race that can wipe us out in 3 seconds.
That's the other thing, yeah.
They aren't going to shoot something that they don't know if it's going to explode and kill everybody there or anything like that. It's risk assessment.
Excellent point.
Well, according to some documents that show that in the early 50s, I believe it was 1952, there was a shoot 'em down order. Back when they still didn't know what it was. And if you see one, shoot at it. Fire rockets, bullets, guns, anything you have.
Right.
The interesting thing is, in 1952, we lost more fighter pilots over the continental United States than we did in Korea, which we were fighting a war at the time.
Right.
That's correct. That is 100% correct.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
And it was all
They shoot back.
The thing is,
the poor people, it was all because of
oxygen
pilot
deprivation.
error or else something wrong with the mechanics of the plane.
Yep.
You know,
Yeah, pilot error.
It's all hidden. You know, same thing with the case here in Kentucky, the Mantell thing.
Well,
Pilot
Yeah,
error.
the Mantell. It wasn't the plane reported to be riddled with holes?
Yeah,
And they said, "Oh, he just crashed." Then where the hell those holes come from?
Well,
There's so many different
not to
things
mention there have been many cases where pilots would lock onto a UFO and their entire electronics would shut down
exactly.
and come back
And
on. You know, they wouldn't crash. It'd come back on once the UFO said, "Hey, we're here. You're engaging with us. Screw you."
Well, it reminds me of the old saying, "Don't bring a knife to a gunfight."
Right.
Okay.
Right. Exactly.
I mean, they can just annihilate us.
That's why.
If we
That's why.
shoot at them.
That's why things like guided missiles and stuff aren't going to work because they're electronic and they can be manipulated. We just need to shoot hot lead at them if we want to take them down.
No,
But
they probably
if
have a
we
force
are-
field.
If we are dealing with a certain alien force already, and they're not theirs, and they're someone else's, and another alien force that's coming to look around,
Right.
does that put it in a different perspective?
Well, you know, I also have no doubt.
What you mean is,
we know many of the common races that come here. We've identified them.
Yes.
How many new races come here daily that we don't know about? Such as, I don't know, maybe a flying pyramid? I mean...
Or
the fact that they're talking about the pyramids, maybe those are the ones we got to watch out for.
Or how many of the ancient races are coming back?
Yeah.
Like, honestly, if you think about it, if you were to take off back during the time of the freaking Roman Empire, and you went back home, and then you turned around and came back, well, with light travel and everything else...
Well, they got to check on their kids.
You might
who's to say
the
we're not
same
their
race
kids?
that we've seen before, just coming back to check shit out.
Hey, check it out. The talking monkeys have guns now.
Yeah,
What do you think
exactly.
they shoot projectiles?
Exactly.
Well, they didn't have them back, in the 12th century. Huh.
Right?
Yeah.
You know,
Right, and so
Huh?
Tutankhamun
it's very
is
weird.
Just rolling in his tomb right now, thinking, "Who the fuck stole my car?"
Yeah, well, but put it into, at the same time this comes out, the other thing that was kind of like slid under the rug is that they found a planet that was like right next door to us that is very close to us. It is identical to Earth.
Which one's
And they're
that?
saying it could be inhabited.
Right. By more talking monkeys.
No, man.
Could
You
be.
mean the
Or
one that's
else
around the red dwarf?
They're
Or
lizards.
is it talking
Kepler?
monkeys are more, and they can get here very quickly. So
Are you talking
I mean,
about Kepler 51? Or
No.
what are you talking about? What?
I just
I've
saw
got
this.
I've got to get it. It's on my Facebook page, so let me take a look at it here for a second.
It's circling a red dwarf, right?
Yeah, it's the presence of a second Earth in the Proxima Centauri system
Centauri?
has been confirmed.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay,
And it
Proxima
says it's
Centauri.
confirmed by researchers. It is thought that the sun, like Earth, has oceans and may be home to alien life.
Okay, so you're talking about Kepler 452b.
No.
This says proximity B compared to Proxima B.
That might be a
There's
new one.
also
It's brand new. They just found it.
Yeah, it's circling a red
The
dwarf.
question is that Earth flat just like ours?
No, it's a
Good
pyramid.
question.
I haven't seen any flying cats lately, so apparently not.
I don't know if it's the same one that was brought up, but there's also Gillisy 48b that was found that's also Earth-like, just on the next door solar system.
Yeah.
And,
So there's two.
And they say they can only monitor 2% of our skies at any given time. So is it really that surprising?
Well,
Right.
okay, so if you actually think about, oh God, I can't remember what his name is. He made a theorem of how many Earth-like planets there could potentially be, how many habitable planets there could potentially be, based off of calculations in the solar system and the amount of suns and everything else. And the potential for habitable planets is an infinite number of planets. I mean, it works out to be an infinite number. It's ridiculous how many planets could potentially be habitable. And with our technology, as far as being able to actually view in space and the distance that we can view and the amount of light something has to give off in order for us to view without sending out some form of probe to get closer to it. I mean, we probably have planets all over the damn place that we just haven't seen yet.
Nope.
That we're not going to see for another 50, 60, 500 years,
not just our galaxy, but there's billions of galaxies out there.
Yeah, because everything right now, in the beginning when they were first finding planets, the only thing that made it so that they could find them is the wobble of the star.
Right.
So they looked for the wobble of the star, and then they looked
or the dimming.
Exactly.
And we actually talked about that.
The dimming of the star, they know something went in front of it.
Exactly.
Right, and we actually talked about that on the SETI show here a couple weeks ago.
So, I mean, with all that taken into account, there could be something that's way further out or way closer in or there's so many possibilities, and with elliptical orbits and everything else, that there's probably a zillion different planets in our own system that have some form of life on them.
So are we being visited? Probably.
Why wouldn't we?
I mean, you know.
Why wouldn't we be? We're
that's
visiting other people. We're visiting other planets.
Right.
So why wouldn't they be visiting us?
Well, and that's what baffles me is you talk to some people and there's no such thing as aliens. Why couldn't there be?
Oh, there.
Honestly.
And this is just taking into account
Coal.
life forms that would be considered
Coal's
like
an alien?
us. Okay?
No, Kayla is.
So this is life forms that are like human, that need oxygen in order to do this, that need water, that need... What about other life forms that don't need that? What about other life forms that thrive on different forms of atmospheres and different types of sunlight and everything else? There are so many possibilities of life.
So, going along with the question that Barry stole, what do you think the projections are?
What?
What do you think our projections are? Do you think this is the new future that every time the military sees a UFO now, that the government's going to say, hey, check it out. Look what our military saw now.
It depends on. It depends on whether it's a race they're working with or not.
Depends on whether it's a threat.
Yeah.
Well, here's the thing. You think, well, they're opening up and they're telling us about unidentified aircraft or vehicles, and then they're doing it because they're good. But I heard an interesting argument the other day about the government rules by fear. For many years, what was the fear that the government ruled with? Terrorists.
Atomic
and then
weapons.
before that was Russia. And then it was Russia again.
No, before
and then
that
there
it
was the fear of racism. And then we got the fear of COVID.
Before that,
and
it was drugs. We had the war on drugs.
Yeah,
too.
there's always something. There's always something. So by the time everybody gets used to all this stuff and says, we're not afraid of it anymore, that's when they're going to open up and go, aliens! And everyone's going to be afraid. But they got to work us up to that point.
But how many people are afraid? I mean, we're not, because we study this shit. We talk about this
I think
shit.
there's going to be a lot of people that are afraid.
I think there's
There
going
are
to be
people that are afraid of COVID. It's nothing but the flu.
Right, exactly. There's so many. I mean, fear is a powerful thing, and when you
really
start
think
promoting it,
do you really think people are scared because the Navy caught a pyramid that's flying?
I think there
well,
are
you know what?
people that are.
No, but it's slowly bringing it up.
Yeah, but and
I mean, when I was a kid, how many of you here? How many of you here, when you were in grade school, had to duck under your desk a couple times a week because they set the sirens off?
No,
I did.
Because we were afraid of the Russians. We never got bombed.
I never did. I never got
trained
on
they had us doing it.
Yeah, I had to go through it. I mean, and we went.
I actually got sent to the principal's office because we live right next door to three military bases. The school I was in was across the street from one of them. And I said, if they're going to nuke us, we're toast anyway, and hiding under my desk isn't going to help. I got sent to the principal's office.
Right. Uh-huh. I mean, because if you've ever, we also watch the videos of what happens, like the first 50 miles of a small nuclear explosion is nothing but a gigantic fireball, and you're burnt we still see burnt. Pictures of Okinawa and Tsushima. Nagasaki or whatever it was over there, that had people just where they were sitting on their seats, and it's nothing but a little spot that's still there from...
Yeah, and their shadow is burnt into the wall next to them.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's just like, there it is. There you are,
last week I watched the emergency management video on Russia's mother bomb. And if that one was to hit London, for example, all of London would be destroyed. That would be the red zone. Yellow zone, which is, you can start slowly coming out, would be another...
The yellow zone would be in Ireland.
Pretty much.
Exactly. Well, that's
pretty
right.
much.
I mean...
So am I worried about aliens? Not really. I'm more worried about, I think, Russia dropping their mother bomb.
Well, just remember something that we have. If they have a mother bomb, we have a mother bomb. We all have those things.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if one person drops a mother bomb and this person drops a mother bomb, then bye human civilization.
Right.
Nobody's going to be able to live on this planet anymore, and then we'll have to all move to Mars.
Why the hell do you think we're working with the aliens to get to space? Come on, guys.
Yeah. And the other thing, when we're looking at it, it's kind of like going, look, if they want to produce fear of this, because they're always leaving that open-ended where they're saying, this is a threat. We don't know. This is a threat. So if they're throwing that to you, all you got to do is use Project Bluebeam, create a UFO in the air, and behind it, run one of our own machines through it, and attack and use a weapon that we don't know that exists, but I guarantee they do exist, like was used at Nashville, and the next thing you know, people are going to be running around extremely fearful of aliens and UFOs.
Whoa. Hey,
people should be afraid of Nashville because of the U.S. government.
You don't need to be afraid of aliens.
That's the thing.
The U.S. government did that to Nashville.
Yeah, and that's who we're getting the information from. That's what we're getting from, And the other thing about it is what are they not telling you? If they were releasing this part of the UFO phenomena, okay? And we know that the government has been involved with it for so long, and treaties, alien life, all this other stuff. And if you go to... and you start listening to what people are saying about the underground areas for children and everything else, what's the number one thing that they're fighting down there is aliens.
Yep. Hey, whoa! We need to not diss on the aliens here. I'm just saying.
But I mean, there are good, bad. So
I have a feeling that we are going to be visited here sometime in the next 14 months. So
really, you got inside information, Kayla?
Uh-huh. Yeah. Okay.
Talking to your species.
I'm wondering if the U.S. government comes out and says that aliens exist and they're up there flying around, how many masks am I going to have to wear?
Right. Well,
10.
Or 10. We can always just make sure that the stuff that's patent, like COVID and HR and SCARS and all that stuff.
Oh yeah.
We'll just beam that. We'll just release that stuff, and it will kill all the aliens because, obviously, what we use ain't working.
According to the ADC, which is the Alien Disease Center, not the CDC, we have to all just walk around in hazmat suits.
Hey, whoa. No, aliens are good. Just they're the good guys.
You see an alien, cough on him.
I can just see it now.
Yeah,
When they come, you know how we're always saying that there's going to be certain people on rooftops going, "Bring back Elvis."
Right? I see that. I can see that one. We're in the mountains. We're good. So, moving along. Arnold, what's your first question tonight?
Sort of keeping with the aliens theme. Have you guys heard of the Black Pyramid that's up in Alaska?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
It's buried up there, and they're not sure. They think it's there. They know it's there. But it's underground.
Yes, and it's 200 acres. It's a 200-acre patch. But
they just need to
airplanes go over. They have issues with their navigation tools.
They just need to leave it alone because the predators are coming back for their alien predator competition.
No, Jesus.
Yeah, right.
But they also say that we will be surprised with how much technology it has to offer, and it will surpass what we have.
And I'm sure as soon as they find all that technology, they're going to release it to everybody.
Yep.
Right.
Free energy.
Just like the
because
last
I brought this up as I was watching a TV show, and there was a former U.S. Army specialist who came out and said he was working during the Cold War, and in where they have he's working the messages, decoding them, and one came across saying Alaskan Black Pyramid, and it went out to 10 to 15 different commanders of different units in the area and stuff, and they say this has all different sorts where alien orbs hover over it, and things happen all around that area.
Mm-hmm.
So
look at Fourth Kind.
Well,
that's the unknown wilderness. So I ain't surprised whatsoever. Anything that goes on in Alaska.
Look at all the stuff that was documented, even though people think that the Fourth Kind, the movie The Fourth Kind, was a bunch of hokey, but it's true that the FBI spent more time up in that area doing weird cases than any
why do you
other
think,
place.
Alaska is the number one place in the world for people disappearing.
Yeah, why do you think they put Sarah Palin in charge of Alaska? Because she's the stupidest one she got turned. Come on now.
We gotta go there.
Yeah, I did. Because I hate the bitch.
Oh my goodness.
But yeah.
So
I like Hockey Mom.
With this being underground up there and stuff, I'm thinking since we have these UFOs going into water and stuff, you believe that that's part of it, where some of them are ending up going into?
Maybe.
Yeah, but just remember the movie.
Just think of all the ice, though.
Yeah, well, do you remember back in the X-File days when he had to go save Scully?
Yep.
Yeah.
And there was an entire ship that left a crater, well, beyond a crater, but the entire, I have to state, pretty much flew up.
Yeah, and where was that?
Alaska.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or
so
was
how
that,
long is that? So how long has that actually been?
Was that Alaska or was that Antarctica?
That was Alaska, I believe.
There's one in Antarctica too.
I would have to.
There's definitely one in Antarctica too. Yeah.
Well, if you're an alien race coming to Earth, you're not going to set up your base of operations in El Segundo, down in Los Angeles. You're going to be somewhere remote.
Yes.
Right?
Exactly.
Where do you have remote stuff where people aren't? Alaska, Antarctica, the Amazon, the middle of the Sahara,
yeah,
the ocean,
Kentucky.
Kentucky.
Hell
Everything's
yeah,
in
nobody want to
Kentucky.
go to Kentucky. Shit.
They got rakes there.
They got rakes in Kentucky.
Do you think there's a difference in races between USOs and UFOs? Do you think it's a specific race?
Same thing.
No,
Same thing.
no, it's really not.
It's the same thing.
I don't think all UFOs.
If you could fly through the air, through the air without causing a sonic boom,
I don't think all of them can go underwater. I mean, nobody knows, but it makes me wonder if it's a different race that lives under the ocean versus other planets, other dimensions, here, whatever.
But could
you're talking about crafts themselves. I mean, obviously, there's some crafts can and some can't.
Well,
some are probably designed to, some are designed not to. It's just like, yeah, I could ride my moped down to the local store, but I'm not going to get on the freeway with it, right?
Has anybody ever seen a flying triangle leave the ocean? They've all been disc-shaped, or orbs.
Or just lights. I mean, we used to sit down there in Southern California. We're right next to Point Mugu Naval Air Station. We'd sit on the beach at night. You could see lights going along, and they would dip down to the ocean and disappear. And we'd kind of go, huh, that was weird. But, we're 17 years old. We didn't think nothing about it. But there's obviously things going from the sky into the ocean.
Right.
So could this be a UFO up in the air, and these things coming from that UFO that are staged on that UFO, and they take off and they go down into the water, just like our Navy ships that carry our planes out on the water.
Right.
Yeah.
And we take off.
Exactly.
I'm thinking there's a big UFO, and then it holds these smaller objects
that are made to be submerged.
Exactly. It's just like an aircraft carrier.
Right.
Yes.
They always call it the mother ship. I wonder why they never call it a father ship.
So I'm still curious, Mary. Are there any reports of flying triangles that come and go from water?
Yes, and I watched a video not too long ago of an interview of a Navy pilot that was on, not a Navy pilot, a Navy guy that was on a ship and saw a triangle go into the water right by him and come back up out of the water again. And Lou Alzondo had made that report and had him on there talking about it. Okay. I haven't seen the video since then, though. When you talk about Alaska, you talk about all these areas up there. That is the area where there is no-fly zones around the area. We have had senators that have flown over there and other people who have seen, just like in Antarctica, a green, wonderful part of the land that is totally different. It's been reported by senators flying over that area. You can't fly over that area now. So what's going on? And the two senators that did report it and say something about it all ended up dead mysteriously on a way back home from a flight and never have been seen or found, and neither has their plane.
Mm-hmm. And I don't give a damn what they say. They're UFOs to me. I'm not playing the UAP game.
Yeah, well, that's what that's the thing. Yeah. You're talking about pyramids and triangles.
Right.
They're just adding things to it. I have personally, worst case, I personally have seen a triangle that was standing up that looked like a pyramid coming at me, straight forward at me like a pyramid. That's
unfortunately,
you cannot see, from my angle, I couldn't see that it was like a pyramid, because the only angle you could see of it as it was coming to that is the one side that you're looking at, and it is definitely I was looking at it as it was sitting up. The tip of the triangle was up in the air, and the wide spot was at the bottom, and it was flying in that way, coming close to as it was getting bigger as it kept on getting closer. And then all of a sudden, it just went, foop, and it was gone.
That's interesting. I'd like to hear from everybody on the panel about that. The closest UFO you have seen. I'll tell you mine is I saw a plane coming in, and that's what I thought it was. I thought it was a plane, like a C-130 or something big, because I watch the sky constantly because we have the fires, and I've seen the planes day and night, and there was lights coming toward me from over the barn. I got out and I watched it. It was big. There was a lot of lights in the front. I'm thinking this thing is huge. It's like a C-130 or something like that. And I'm wondering, why is it going so low? Why is it going so slow? And when this thing finally came over, there was very little sound. I had to turn my head from left to right, look up and see both sides of it. And it was, I'd like to say triangle, but it was more of a diamond shape or a pointy triangle, kind of like the bottom of a Star Destroyer from Star Wars. And it just floated right over. And if I had a bow and arrow, I could have hit the thing. That's how low it was. And it was all lit up underneath. My camera wasn't working in my phone. My phone wouldn't work. I don't know if I was getting jammed or what. And then I watched it come in, I watched it go over, and I watched it keep going over to the south until it disappeared. And, it could have been a pyramid, but it looked a lot more pointy.
It was a flying pointy stick with wings.
A flying pointy stick.
Yep.
Pointed stick.
So,
isn't there a triangle
on
top of every pointy stick?
Everything's a pointy stick.
So you were asking to hear from the rest of us on that?
Yeah. What's the best one you've seen?
I have never actually seen one because every time one's coming, the alien in my house sends me inside to do something.
Oh, Lord, no, you saw the one that was last summer that was flying over and did a U-turn.
No, she sent me in for a drink.
I sent him in right before that for
you
him to grab.
bitch. Anyway.
Okay.
Let's see. So, I would have to say the closest one I've been to was still a good half mile away, and that was the triangle going from Iraq over Syria. And the reason I bring that one up every time is because of the type of soldiers that were with me that we were watching this with. They were aircraft mechanics and crewmen. They know aircraft. And we were all watching this thing, and they even looked at me and said, look, that's not the light pattern of any of our aircraft, because you can argue and say, well, a crew chief only knows their bird. Oh, hell no. When they go to school,
they know all of them.
They learn all of them. So they know what our aircraft look like. Now, the only argument I will say is, sure, it could have been experimental that none of us know about. That is possible. But it was a triangle. It had very unique light patterns to it. It was completely silent. It would move. It would go side to side. It would hover. It would move again. And the other thing with that, when they go to school, they also know enemy aircraft. They have to.
Yeah.
That's part of their job. So, yeah, it was a good half mile. It was, because where our base was, we were approximately a quarter mile from the Syrian border. In case any insurgents tried to come across the border, we were kind of their first stop. So, that was unique. And if you've ever been to the Middle East, just the energy of the environment, just the energy of that country is phenomenal. War aside. It's a very magical location. I mean, think of the ancient Sumerians. They were there before Syria and Iraq were borders. So, yeah, I do think it was a UFO. The closest one, I guess, would be the orb that I saw hovering over Kitzingen, Germany. And that was years before. But, yeah. What about you, Barry? What's the closest you've been to a craft?
the closest that I've been to a craft has probably been under 100 feet, and it was on top. Flew over me, and it made a very weird noise. And as it
did you feel it more than hear it?
Actually, yes.
Yeah,
because
exactly.
It was more like, but it made. How can I say it? It was like a wobbly type of sound. If that makes any sense to anybody.
So you're sitting next to a like a bass, like a heavy percussion.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
It was definitely weird. It was very similar to what you're talking about, Joe. It was to me, it was unknown. I first thought that maybe it's experimental craft. It's something that we have, everything, because it continued to move over me, and I saw it go toward this was coming from the south, going to the north, and kept going towards the north. And it was just a maybe from the way that I look at it, I would say that it may have been 40 foot long. It was kind of a teardrop shape, but the lighting underneath of it was the strangest thing I've ever seen. Mm-hmm. I mean, the lighting, it looked like it had a light strip right down the middle of it, and it was kind of had some kind of energy, or it was like a mixy type of ordeal. It was not any kind of propulsion system that I would assume it would be that way, and that's where I thought all the energy was coming from. But it went directly over me. I was standing outside the backyard walking a dog, and it went over, and the dog's reaction was he laid down immediately.
That feeling of overwhelmness of a dog. They're like, oh, shit.
I mean, he went to the ground.
There's no way I can bite that thing. Nope.
Yeah, he went right to the ground. I mean, and 110-pound dog lay down, and he was like, "I'm getting on the ground," you know. And then once it was over him, he jumped right back up and kind of like going, "That was weird,"
right?
So, but yeah, that was that's the closest one I've seen. Some maybe a little bit farther away, but that one went right over top of me. And but again, it's classified as a UFO because it's an unidentified flying object. I can't say that yes, little green men were doing it. It was something else because there's so much out there that I believe that it could have been ours. It could have been a drone.
What I think about that is, oh no, don't open the sewer door because I don't know if alien shit's got hydrochloric acid in it.
Right.
It goes.
Right. It doesn't.
It doesn't?
No.
Okay.
No. You lie.
Oh. All right, what about you, Daniel, Arnold? You guys had any close encounters?
I've only had once that we talked about last time where it was kind of I couldn't really tell anything from it because Barry and the other guy said earlier, you don't really hear much from them coming around, but you feel that kind of a reverberating feel into you. It's that one that I talked about where it was kind of like getting its coordinates or bearings, where it would go, it'd come to a center point, stop, go west, come back to center point, go south, go center point, go east, come back to center point, go north, and then I'd head off in a northeast direction. And in the area where we were at the time, the military did have a lot of testing flights for their bombers and stuff, but I had never seen anything that could actually stay in one spot, unlike like a helicopter could do, but it was quiet.
Right.
Right. I mean, to the right and the left, like it did, and to be like it's almost doing a triangulation of the area.
Yeah.
Or searching for something.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. All right.
I do have something to add really quick.
Yeah, go ahead.
Since we were talking about the spacecrafts going into the ocean and things of that nature, has anyone heard of the Bellic Sea anomaly?
Yes, I have. Yeah.
That's what makes me think, in a sense, because they don't find anything. They say it's encased in stone, but anything that's been around for a long time can become petrified or coated in a certain kind of sediment or organisms that can cover it.
Yep.
I almost wonder if that's not a magnetic plate or something that they had dropped off, so they know by reference where they're at in the world.
Could be. You know, that's an excellent thought. But you know that thing, they have been talking about dives on it, everything else, and the next thing you know, you don't hear anything about it.
Yep.
And then what happens if it? They turn out to say that's a natural formation of the sea bottom.
Right.
Yeah. Which is, it's weird to me, because when I was reading that, and they did mention that they're leaning towards it being a natural anomaly, but when they showed the video and the footage of it, there's a good probably 60-yard slide mark from where this thing was at the bottom of the ocean.
Exactly.
It's like, how... It's like, how the hell is that natural? And the freakier fact, I mean, this is just sci-fi fans going off about it, but the part where they start lining up the geometrics with it and, like, the shape of the Millennial Falcon and how it's designed.
Right? Exactly. That's what it looks like, yeah.
Like, it's like that part's kind of fan fiction, but I can see where they're lining it up with like the layover lines and going, "Huh, this is interesting."
Yeah, exactly. But to this day, you don't hear one thing about it. It was released. Two guys were going to dive on it, do some more stuff, and do some things, and it's like, bye bye.
Yep.
They got paid off. They got something happened. It just went away. You know?
Show up in their BMWs at a press conference and say, "We didn't find anything," and they drive away.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
All right, so before we go to break, Cole's got his first question tonight.
Okay, so we all know that there's something weird with the moon. Like, there is some stuff going on there. Mm-hmm. But something came on my Facebook that actually bothered me. Have you guys seen the videos of someone taking a video through a telescope? And I'm talking a telescope that you buy on Amazon for $350 is shipped to you by USPS, meaning US pieces of shit, and I'm sorry, but they don't treat packages very well, which is not good for a telescope.
Nope.
And they're taking these videos and they will shake the telescope, and then as it settles, you will see small pieces on the edge of the moon move. Have you seen those where it looks like small crafts are moving on the edges of the moon?
You know, over the years, I've seen people's videos of, I've seen craft coming and going from the moon.
Now, I've seen some that are very convincing. Mm-hmm. But what bothers me is when people take those videos and then make their own where you can tell it's camera shake.
Right.
Do you guys get bothered with the amount of times we're actually seeing that, where you have to admit that at least 50% of what we're seeing in this field is faked?
Oh, absolutely.
If probably more.
I was about to say, I give that a higher, I'd say 80% of what we're seeing is faked, to be completely honest with you. Especially
now, there are some videos actually from NASA, from the guys that went either around the moon or landed,
right, of
things going across the surface of the moon that they videoed, and they call them moon pigeons. That's the name they gave them.
Are they killer pigeons?
But
see, and well, like
murder quail.
Yeah,
murder quail on the moon.
There's something up there. There's some. Well,
someone's
up there.
Absolutely.
But
Someone's up there.
I just hate when someone takes a video of a pixelated fucking moon, and then one of the pixels move, and oh my god, it's a craft.
Well, yeah, because everybody wants that evidence. Whether it's the little amateur guy with the telescope that's going, look at that, it's moving around. Yeah, it sure the hell is. You got palsy. But
they want to be the first.
They do.
They're not.
Yeah, but like, come on, quit making us shuffle through the shit in order to get to what we actually
That's
want.
why you should have it analyzed by at least one, if not more, people to establish that, yes, you have something. Yes, there's no Photoshop in this picture or this video. Yes, just like I've had photos analyzed before that, okay, take a look at this Walmart picture. They're trying to say it's a FEMA camp, and he came back and said, well, for one, the helicopter's photoshopped in because there is no rotor wash. If it's an actual helicopter hovering over Walmart, for example, you're still going to see rotor wash in the picture.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I think that's the biggest problem in whether it's UFOs or Bigfoot or ghosts or anything like that, anything paranormal.
Right.
I'm willing to bet 80% of it is just complete garbage. People faking things, people misidentifying things.
Totally agree with you.
It's the worst. It's the worst part about the whole field of the paranormal.
I think so. Misidentifying, okay, I can get on board with that. The ones that intentionally fake, that go on and use apps, because they actually have apps out there. Hey, use this app and you can make a ghost. No. If you intentionally fake your stuff to get fame or fortune, whatever your little mind thinks you're going to get, no. And that is a big problem in the whole paranormal field, not just ufology, not just ghosts, the entire field. How many Bigfoot, quote-unquote, pictures have you seen where, no.
It's like those freaking top 10s on YouTube now, or top 20s.
Mm-hmm.
Friend, there's that guy that does them that has the worst voice in the fucking world. Turns me into the guy from The Shining immediately as soon as I hear his voice.
Right.
And everybody in the house needs to die as soon as I hear that guy's voice.
Uh-huh.
And every video he shows is crap.
Oh, well, yeah, YouTubers in general drive me nuts.
Friend...
Oh, go click my channel and so I can make millions. Yeah, no, Cheyenne, turn that crap off. Yeah, that's my house. But she's a YouTuber. Yeah, big deal. No. When my kid comes running up because she's scared of a phantom ghost that she heard about on YouTube, but Daddy, it's a phantom ghost. What's that? Like, there's no such thing as a phantom ghost. Describe to me what this phantom ghost is doing. It's entering people's bodies. That's called a possession. That's not a phantom ghost. There's a ghost, there's a spirit, there's demons, there's other things, but no. There's no such thing as a phantom ghost. Those are two different... Come on. But no, she heard it from YouTube, so it's got to be true, right? Yeah, no. But, you got the bullshit YouTubers that just feed kids crap, and then you've got the paranormal YouTube channels that still feed you crap through wonderful looking videos and pictures. And again, I agree with you. It's about 80%, Joe.
Yeah.
What if it's all fake and we're just living in a simulated world?
Oh, shut up, Haley.
Oh, God.
And on that note, we're going to our last break of the night. When we come back, Arnold, you're up for your second question.
We'll be right back. Here's Hell Wildfire.
You are listening to S4 on Spreaker.com.
Eric Cooper.
And welcome back to S4 for our last hour of the night. And so next week we are talking what constitutes a paranormal emergency. And we'll actually go into what causes spirits and what kind of spirits. When should you call the Ghostbusters? Or wait, Fourth Moon Paranormal. Or
right, exactly.
Whoever, yeah.
Due to COVID, the Ghostbusters are not available until like later in 2021.
Okay, that's okay.
It's November.
We'll take their place. We've got photon packets. Wait, did you buy those yet? Anyway, yeah. When is Bigfoot an emergency? Well, yeah, we have somebody up here that got scared and thought it was an emergency. And in all fairness, but we never found anything. Anyway, next week, what constitutes an emergency, and what we're actually going to go a lot more into the signs and the symptoms of what a haunting is and is not, things of that nature. So, Arnold, what is your next question for tonight?
Have you guys heard of the massive communication tower that is in North Pole, Alaska?
That is to communicate with Santa Claus. No, I don't know.
That is correct.
I missed the question, so that just got really weird for me.
Mass communication
A
tower
massive
in the North
communication tower that's up in North Pole, Alaska. No, it's not meant to talk with Santa Claus.
Do you know who put it up? Do you know if it was a government agency that put it up? Was it Telecom? Was it? When it was put up, it was shortly after UFO sightings were seen in the middle of winter. This lady had, and there were several people had seen UFOs in this one area of North Pole, Alaska. And within a week, this massive communications tower was built. Huh.
And it's, again, it was built within a week. And during that time, it's minus 40 below and colder. The dirt's frozen and stuff. So who builds up there during that time?
Kind of a bad time to put up a communications tower at negative.
Exactly,
but frozen in Alaska is Arctic Circle, though.
Huh?
I mean,
yeah.
Honestly, it's always frozen. So
yeah.
What area of Alaska is this?
North Pole.
He's talking the Arctic Circle.
North Pole.
No, it's not always frozen.
No. Okay, my bad.
It's got permafrost.
Yeah, they have permafrost, but that, like, even permafrost, you can drill through permafrost pretty easily as long as you get right up there.
They grow gardens in Alaska.
Yeah. So, but what I was getting at is this is kind of strange because you have the Black Pyramid that's up there in McGrath. You have this thing that was all of a sudden put up, but shortly after these people seen it, the men in black showed up and started telling people, you don't know nothing, you didn't see nothing.
Seriously? I haven't heard about that.
Yeah.
I'll look that up.
Interesting.
Huh.
I don't know, man.
Yeah, the one lady that saw it and was she was at a local restaurant when these guys walked in, men in black walked in and started talking to people and her and saying, you didn't see anything, you don't know anything.
How would you not? It's a 50-foot tower? Huh. Yeah, it's not really there. It must look like one of those tree towers that's in Burlington.
Yeah, they just got it as a tree.
And ask your answer quick, Eric.
Yeah.
No. NORAD is the only one who has communication with Santa Claus.
Okay.
Yeah, buddy.
There is a contract in place.
Yeah. And that's Santa Tracker NORAD.
Yeah, Santa Tracker NORAD, but they actually have a
of
contract with
all the weird stuff I've heard the Men in Black do, I've never heard of them just walking into a diner and say, "Hey, anybody see that thing out there on the edge of town?"
No, you don't
see it.
Yeah.
I've never heard, that doesn't sound right.
That one is weird. I'll have to look it up on YouTube.
Well, but it's possibly okay. But we gotta admit, when we think of the Men in Black, we are thinking of the alien guys. Maybe that's not them. Maybe there is other guys that dress the same way that are part of a government organization.
Maybe it's just like FBI that's like, hey, you didn't see anything.
I'm sorry, I've got We Are the Men in Black. Yeah, I've got that song stuck in my freaking head. Yeah, no, I'll definitely have to look into that one.
Is it a giant nebulizer?
A giant neuralizer?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
They wouldn't need the Men in Black there for that one, now would they?
Yeah, and that's why everybody forgot about it.
Notice how it's in Alaska also.
Yeah, no joke. Everything weird is in Alaska.
I would be curious to find out how close to Harp it is.
That's a good question.
Yeah, and how, because where this Black Pyramid...
Is it a communication tower for Harp?
I don't know. Here's where you can also go on Aliens in Alaska, and this is where I found part of it too.
Okay.
And the lady that talks about it walks out to where this communication tower is, and it's out in the middle of nowhere, a big fence around it, but it's a huge tower.
Mm-hmm.
And she's just kind of thinking, she goes, it wasn't put up until all people started seeing these UFOs over the town.
Ooh.
So.
Well, I have
the thing about anything that's up there, people don't think about it, but that's as close as we are to Russia.
That's what I was going to bring up next.
And the Canadians and the U.S. Everybody's fighting over territory up there right now. It's not making the news, but about, where do you have mineral rights, where do you have drilling rights, and you're going to want as many communication towers as possible up there.
But
it could be something like that. It could be something mundane. It could be UFO related, but
that all makes sense. You're absolutely right, Joe. But why bring in the Men in Black and say this isn't here? That's my only question on that one.
Disinformation?
But
just
why?
To freak people out?
Well,
why not?
But still, there's always an agenda.
Maybe they'd be better off thinking it was alien than thinking it was satellites because the Russians might be attacking or whatever. Right. I mean,
if you don't want the Russians to know about it, you make everybody freak out in town and think about it's UFOs.
Right, you make them think they'll disappear if they say something,
and
then
we
have
a flying pyramid a week later.
There's too many weird issues.
But now that S-4's talking about it, they're going to show up in concrete.
You know what? They would have done that. They would have done that last year when we talked about the royal family getting assassinated. There's so many shows we've done that go above and beyond that. They haven't shown up yet. They won't. Yeah. We have ice up here anyway.
4 hours, 10 minutes.
What?
Away from
Harp.
Harp.
Oh, okay.
So there is an actual Air Force base, Eison, E-I-E-I-S-O-N, belongs to Old MacDonald.
Really? Old MacDonald's farm.
Yeah. There's an Air Force base right beside the town of North Pole.
That'd be Nome, Alaska, wouldn't it?
No, the town of North
Pole.
No,
it's right near Fairbanks.
Yeah.
Okay.
Fairbanks.
Isn't Elmendorf right up there?
Actually, I'm mistaken. Nome, Alaska is actually where Fourth Kind was based around, I believe.
Yeah,
that is correct.
Which one did you say?
What?
No, Joe.
Elmendorf? Elmendorf. I think that's near Fairbanks.
Not that I'm seeing.
I don't know. I got a cousin.
Google Elmendorf. Don't ask me how to spell that.
Elvin or Elman?
Elman.
I like elves. Elves are cool.
Elmendorf.
All I got was in Elmendorf, Texas.
Oh, weird.
Maybe I'll try Elmendorf.
See, it doesn't even exist. Elmendorf.
We're looking.
In fact, when they had that Japanese Airlines cargo plane that went over, and they had the big UFO thing, I think it was in the 70s.
Yeah, the
Anchorage, Alaska.
There was radar returns from Anchorage, Alaska Airport, but also Elmendorf Air Force Base, which is up near Fairbanks, were also tracking.
Okay. I know what you're talking about. Air Force Base, yeah. We have a couple Army bases up that way as well. A buddy of mine was stationed at.
I believe it's Air Force.
Yeah. Elmendorf is.
Well, you were mentioning about those towers, and I've had an experience at one of these towers that I was with an abductee at. He wanted to show me this area that was having some unusual activity of military, and at that time, for some reason or other, I got this thought in my mind that there is certain types of towers that are set up very close to each other, and they use it. The aliens use it as a tracking device to help them navigate this area.
Yeah, Elmendorf Air Force Base is in Anchorage. Thank you, Izzy.
Which is 6 hours away from Fairbanks. 6 hours. The only Air Force Base near there is that Yeltsin.
But I love the fact that you brought up the Japan flight, because that one, that pilot actually went against what he was told and came out and talked about it.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And
I'd buy that guy a beer.
And that was one of the big cases that came out of the 2003 Disclosure Project.
Right.
With the head of the FAA talking about that case. And some of the things that he actually saved from that case.
Yeah, he said he had two smaller aircraft or whatever were going around the plane and for an hour or so, and then all of a sudden a huge, just massive
mothership
craft showed up.
Yep.
Yeah. Like we've talked about before, there's the mothership. The little guys come out of the big guys.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, in 2010, Fort Richardson merged with Elmendorf to form, and they've been doing that everywhere because the Air Force works closely with the Army, much like the Marines work with the Navy. So while a lot of times the Navy is the Marines transport, the Air Force is the Army transport. So when we fly to, say, Iraq or anywhere else, we fly on Air Force. C-140s, C-147s, things of that nature. So just like here in Washington, Fort Lewis merged with, and somebody's got the show on. And somebody could turn the show off
or down. So I'm going satellite with base. Looking through the whole area of North Pole.
Okay.
And there is no blacked out areas.
No?
No.
Okay.
It's interesting. You guys have mentioned that I think a lot of people have heard about it. You talked about it earlier. The triangle or pyramid that's supposed to be in Alaska and it's buried, but they call it, every time I've heard it mentioned, they call it the Black Pyramid.
Mm-hmm.
Now, how would they call it the Black Pyramid unless they've seen it? It's underground.
Good point.
Why would you call it the Black Pyramid unless they know they've seen it? They've been down there.
Well,
they know what it is.
But also, like was brought up earlier in the show, how do they know what kind of technology is there unless they've been there?
Right.
Exactly.
So there's no way in hell they couldn't have been there at some point in time.
And how many triangles are actually in the United States or somewhere else that is covered by a forage or something that they're aware that are there also?
Can't call them triangles anymore. The United States calls them pyramids.
Pyramids, I know. I'm sorry.
They're all pyramids now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a hotel at this Air Force base.
Huh?
What? There's a hotel.
Oh yeah, there's lodging on every military base. Fort Lewis has a hotel.
It's called the Gold Rush Inn.
Oh well, that's unique. Ours is just called the Fort Lewis Travel Lodge. Yeah.
We have a gold rush in down here.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like.
Have a golden chain too.
Arnold, I'm looking at this Air Force Base. There's no blacked out areas on Google Maps. What is
that you see?
It's built around a lot of really deep lakes.
Ooh.
It went up for a scuba diving trip.
And one that's man-made because it's a perfect horseshoe.
I have my card.
Let's do it. I'm good. Let's go.
Yep. I've got a place for us to stay in Alaska.
Oh, so do I. And it's
S4
in the
dive
Arctic
teams
Circle.
on the way.
Right?
So Cole, that was for the pyramid or for the communications tower?
For the communications tower, I'm not seeing anything out of the ordinary on the base or anywhere around North Pole. And normally for something like that they want to keep quiet, you would get a blacked out area on Google Earth.
Oh, absolutely.
Unless they stop doing that and they're actually, like Joe said, that you can see, they are just covering it up.
Yeah, they're not necessarily just blacking it out. They're just laying something over the top of it, and you don't notice it.
Mm-hmm.
Either that or they really are making it look like a tree so that when you look down.
You know but
they
you know
got
what's
those
stupid?
satellites everywhere
You know what's stupid about the tree tower in Burlington is, if you want to blend it in, put the tower around some other trees so it blends in.
Yeah, seriously,
Out in the middle of a field, man, look at that. There's a tower. It looks like a tree.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, we have one like that here in Grass Valley, California. It's a great big communication tower, and it looks like a giant tree in the middle of town.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's like, okay, let's not be too hidden here. Huh.
Yeah.
That's
nothing to see.
That's the new 5G.
No 5G rotting your brain.
Right? So, Joe, what's your next question?
Oh, shoot. Let me look. Let me see. Playing with my phone. We need some background music.
Here comes the Men in Black. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, don't quit your day job, guys.
Okay, here we go.
I won't.
Just completely changed topics.
Okay.
Caves. For thousands of years, humans have been afraid of caves, or we've lived in them.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think is in them? Do you think there's rakes in there? Do you think Bigfoot is in there? Do you think there are ancient civilizations they're living in the earth, and the way to get to them is through the caves?
I think
what
all
do you
the
think you
above.
would find if you went down there? Yeah.
I'm going to say
what
all
do you
the
think
above.
about caves?
I think it depends on the cave. It depends on the region. You can go into caves. We've found cave drawings from Native Americans from everywhere from France to South Dakota, depicting UFOs, depicting aliens, depicting, not even
weird creatures.
Not even talking about. We're not even going back to Egypt where we have the hieroglyphs, but just here in America we have alien and UFO cave drawings from Native Americans. But talk to Barry. But we've got rakes in the cave system. the Mammoth Cave system. Here in our own backyard, we have mercury caves. We have gold mine caves. We have. So is Bigfoot living in them? Absolutely, I think so. In some cases. We definitely know there's rakes, there's goblins, there's elves, there's a whole lot of different creatures that we don't encounter because they stay in the caves. Some of them do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think that they've seen, and they have found skeletons of large skeletons with red hair. They've found pygmy-like skeletons of red hair here alone, just in Mammoth Cave. And that's
we have the Lubbock Cave here in Nevada.
And we don't go in at all of it. Only 300 miles of it, I believe, has been looked into.
Now, I'll admit, when it comes to caves, I'm a chicken shit. I'll send a drone in.
I love caves.
Like where Barry is, that place is just littered with caves.
Well, not
you can go places like Shasta or any of the big volcanic mountains. There are lava tubes. There are hundreds of miles of caves. Now, where I live, we don't necessarily have caves because it's almost solid granite up here.
Right.
But there are hundreds and hundreds of old mine shafts.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they're just littered this whole area up here. This is gold country. This is the 49ers.
Right.
And I wonder what's in them.
Well, and we have things here in Kentucky. We have old coal mines. And most of the coal mines that go down very deep, for some reason or other, seem to have been taken over by military or some source that is, they're still active, but
that's a little odd.
Yeah, but
well, I think it depends on the cave. So when you're talking the Mammoth Caves, Barry, you can attest that there's parts of the Mammoth Caves you wouldn't want to go to because you would get lost. Because aren't there different
exactly.
Aren't there different passageways?
Oh yeah, there's so many different passageways and so many different things, and even I live probably 30 miles from Mammoth Cave, as the crow flies, and we have amazing amount of cave systems here, and they're all tied up to the same way. They're all believed to be part of Mammoth Cave, and they go down deep and everything else. And there have been people who have done a lot of caving around this area. Sadly enough, a lot of them are taking ancient artifacts from Native America and everything else, and they will lock the cave back up. Some of the openings of the caves that have been found have been sealed up. There are things that are happening around here, but that's unseen territory. Here in the United States, we, for some reason or other, like to go to other planets, or like to go to the moon, or like to go into space, but we stay away from the things that are directly involved with us.
Right.
Like the oceans and the cave systems. And there's a reason for that. I'm not too sure that you couldn't use it as a migratory trail for Bigfoot. Does Bigfoot use that to go from one place to another?
They say that down in the Andes, they have thousands of miles of caves through the entire Andean mountain range, and no one's explored them. Maybe a little bit here and there, but they know these things go for hundreds of miles.
Right. And wouldn't it also be, if there is underground domes and there are underground train systems and everything else, wouldn't it be kind of advantageous for us to use a shaft that's already there instead of
how do you know or not?
Yeah.
That's exactly right. That's the question. How do you know or not?
Totally. And some cave systems are off limits. They are classified areas.
Right.
We built a complete facility inside Cheyenne Mountain, Wyoming.
Yes.
Why couldn't they have used the cave systems for other means? And you bring up civilization. So there is a Native American tribe in California that, and I can't remember specifically which desert it was. I believe
Lubbock Caves.
Huh?
Lubbock.
Are you talking about the Lubbock Caves?
Possibly, yeah. It's been years since I read that. So I don't remember which one.
Red-haired giants?
Well, they described an alien race that came out of them. And there was an alien race that actually lived in these cave systems.
Well, the
Navajo have the legend that the eons ago that the ant people, that's what they called them, came out of underground, grabbed all the people, took them underground because something bad was happening above ground.
Yes.
Right? When they came up, there was a new world.
Well, and look at the Anasazi. How do we know the same thing didn't happen to the Anasazi as what that other tribe was describing with the ant people?
Yeah, where'd they go? Nobody knows.
Into a cave system. I mean, granted, they were living in basically their own man-made cave system to begin with, But who's to say some form of race didn't come and get them and say, look, something crazy is happening up here. You guys need to come with us. And bam. Because when we discovered the Anasazi system, there were dinner plates on the table. It was like they were just, hey, you got to go now. And they did.
Right. Well, the funny thing about the Anasazi complexes and all that stuff out that way, they're built into a cliff, and it's they're overhung. Mm-hmm. So
Chaco
would that
Canyon.
be an interesting thing that you would think that you would build something like that because you're being attacked from the air?
Yeah.
Well,
or afraid of something from above.
Mm-hmm.
Well, look at the Hindu culture and their cave systems.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, look at the thought processes of their caves. They're holy sites.
Mm-hmm.
Caves are something.
Well, same in Turkey.
Yeah, and that's what I say. They're holy sites. These are where their gods went to get enlightened. These are where they went anytime that there was a struggle or they needed advice or anything like that. They went into the cave systems.
Mm-hmm.
There's full-out temples and stuff
with lighting
hundreds
systems
of feet into the cave systems.
Yep.
So
correct, right. But
I mean,
also
they
that would
have,
be a great place for the ancients to bury their bones and to have resting spots.
To bring them back to Earth.
There's a lot of different cultures, a lot of different religions, and a lot of different things that are around cave systems.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, like, even if you go into modern-day Christian, Jesus was put into a cave.
Yeah.
And that's what was rolled in front of him. Like, so there's power in these caves.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a reason that so many cultures use them and believe that they give them powers, or that's where they can communicate with their gods and different things like this.
Right.
So there's got to be a reason for that. It can't have just come out of nothing, and that so many different cultures in so many different parts of the world all have the same belief system.
Well,
don't they all have a belief system of that there's an inner Earth, that there's a civilization down there somewhere?
Yeah. Honestly,
it seems to show up in a lot of religions and a lot of things around the country, around the world.
Yes, it does.
Right.
There's a huge thing about basically Journey to the Center of the Earth and how Earth has all of these underground different societies and different peoples and ancient ones and the oh god, what did they call those? The shiny ones came from the cave systems and like all of these different things. There's also talk about mechanical devices and floating chairs and cave systems and stuff. I mean, there's been thousands of different tales about the cave.
And how many cave systems have we not explored that still hold these kinds of things? You know?
Right.
We don't know.
Or how many of
well,
them
like
are
the
off
Mammoth
limits
Caves near
to
Barrie.
Right.
Like where Barrie is, the Mammoth Caves, we know it's huge. There's tons of that hasn't been explored yet.
Yes, tons and tons of it.
Absolutely.
And
don't
what's the reason for not exploring it? That's my question.
Don't the Mammoth Caves go underneath the Appalachian Mountains?
Yeah, they go for miles. I mean, all over the area. And the other interesting thing about it is, since you mentioned the 411 and Paulides' police maps and so forth.
How many of these missing people were around cave systems?
Oh man, it is unbelievable if you look at that
Something
map.
came out of the cave system.
Right.
You can't even see. I mean, if you were looking for Kentucky and part of Tennessee, that area is nothing but dots of missing people.
But and that explains that area. But when you're talking about the average case where they're walking down a trail and they turn around and the person's gone, there is no cave system around a lot of those cases. Now, those clusters could probably be explained in Kentucky by the Mammoth Caves. I'll say that.
Yes.
Because you guys have rakes. You guys definitely have all kinds of crazy stuff in the cave systems.
Right.
So,
but I mean, it's ancient. It's been there forever. I mean, so who knows what's down there? I mean,
But when you're talking about California and all a lot of the clusters there, yes, there are there's some caves, But, and that's why I do hold the firm belief that I think there's a lot of going on. It's not just one issue that's making people disappear.
Mm-hmm. There's no rakes in California.
So, like Mount Shasta, that's right in the middle of California.
Right.
There are caves from the lava tubes from that go for hundreds of miles.
But a lot
they're
of
all over. They have never mapped that stuff.
No, but a lot of your California clusters are further south.
Yeah. The national parks.
In the redwoods. And hands down, granite has something to do with it. We know that much.
See, what I'm saying is that, okay, so like I said before,
I'm looking at granite right now.
Right.
Is certain rocks, certain elements, certain things, they hold energy. Mm-hmm. Okay? And they expel energy. They not only hold energy, but they can hold data as well. They can hold information. Mm-hmm. They can hold these things inside of them. So what better place than to be surrounded by it? On all sides.
Correct.
What better place to communicate with your gods or to figure out your inner peace or anything like that than a power structure?
Mm-hmm. I mean, most of our computers today are made of crystal.
Right. Look at the crystals.
In one shape or form, they're shrunk down, but most of your microchips have crystal in them. Really not.
Well, look at the original crystal skulls that they kept finding and are moved around. Mm-hmm. Is there not tons of information within a crystal skull?
I wouldn't want one.
No, those are freaky.
I wouldn't want one either.
You bring it into your house, you don't know what the hell kind of crazy
I don't want
crap's
any of
gonna
those
happen.
crystal skulls. I don't want any of those weird metal balls that fall from space. I don't want any of that crap.
Just so you know, there's no rakes in California.
No?
Just hose.
Just
toads?
Hose.
Oh my
Just
God.
hose.
Ghosts?
Hose.
Hodes. Okay.
No rakes. No shovels either.
Oh, God.
Oh, we got all kinds of weird stuff here in California. They have the Fresno walkers. You've seen those, haven't you?
Well, it's better than zombies coming from Florida. I mean, come on.
I've seen pictures of that beach.
Oh, Florida. I'm never going to Florida.
Neither is Anthony. Anthony's still convinced, because of that bath salt freak, that all zombies come out of Florida. So all of a sudden, Grandma says, "I'm going to go to Florida for vacation," and Anthony's going, "No, the zombies are there." Yeah, no.
And, one of the interesting things that I got to ask is we got, and I think I've covered it before with Arnold, but I want to ask him again because he was over national parks and been in several of them. Grand Canyon, all right. There is an area there that there was supposed to be a cave that was in the early 1900s that had Egyptian relics there. And all of a sudden that got sealed off. And I do know that there is an area that the government has made inaccessible to people, even though national parks are for the people.
They turned it into a lake.
Right. Why is it that we have these zones in national parks that are inaccessible to people nowadays?
That's why they're national parks, so that they could do that.
Dangers and hazards.
What's your thoughts, Arnold?
Well, yeah.
I mean, so I know you were state parks, but I know you've got knowledge on some of the national parks as well.
Yeah, and you have to look. I mean, when you're dealing with anything with state or national about anything out of the ordinary, normal, whatever, you're going to not hear anything about it or what's going on or what's they found or what's happened, just because there's only going to be a few that know anything.
So I know the federal park system had, and I know we've had them up here in Marble Mount Concrete, but the federal the national park system has their own federal investigators that work within the national parks. And
yes.
They get involved a lot with missing persons cases. So do you know if the state park system has their own secret investigative services?
No, they would call in another state agency on something like that. They would call in most likely State Patrol.
Okay.
Depending on how in-depth they got, they might work with the county, depending on what, because a bunch of state parks, they could be so we have some state parks in city ordinances, county, but our number one thing is State Patrol. So you could have multiple jurisdictions, but it's going to come back through state parks, and it's only going to go to the people that need to know.
Now, does the national park investigators ever work with the state?
If they're close enough, if parks are close enough, yes.
Okay.
Okay, like you take, let's see, Bogus Shield, which is on the western side of Olympic National Park.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, they might work with them. Squim Bay State Park, that's close to, they might. Dosey Wallops, who's got trails that go up into part of the Olympic.
They go all the way across from Dosey Wallops all the way over to Lake Canal. There's
so
40 miles of hiking trail up there.
You got parks that will, if they butt up against a national park, they'll work with them.
Right. Okay.
Just depending on what's going on and,
I was gonna, why do they close an area off forever? Why do they not let anybody into an area?
Because of something they don't want you to see, don't want things going on in there, don't want it, how would you say, anything that, don't even want any more evidence put into there, I'll say that much. Because if they let people in there and there's something going on, that's just that much more they're going to have to go in and
clean up.
Isn't it also
what kind of thing would be going on?
They don't want people tramping around the crime scene.
Exactly. Okay, I'm going to just, like, a park I used to work at, I've said it before in here, I know there are mammoth tusks coming out of the side of the hill.
Right.
Okay. We let our head agency know. They said, "Oh, get somebody from the University of Washington." The first thing they said is, "Oh, no, you don't. There's no mammoth tusks. There's no way." And then all of a sudden they're like, "Oh, we'll have someone come out." Well, if they did, it was real quick, and they said, "No, you don't. Just cover it back up."
Well, because when you think about it, and going to your question now, Barry, if they've got Egyptian artifacts on American soil, that's proven, and they don't want to change history because obviously, what's Egyptian artifacts doing here when our continents were so divided, by space?
Because there was worldwide commerce in the past that they don't want us to know about.
Right. Or possibly...
There's probably a lot more than that, Joe.
Possibly there was a first Egypt here before there was the original Egypt that we know of.
Down to pyramids. Flying pyramids, man.
So I'll bring up another thing. For state park wise, they made a rule that if you wanted to dig a post, put in a new post for a stop sign, a fence, you had to get permission from the higher ups. And if they told you no, you couldn't dig there, you couldn't dig there.
Really?
Yes.
Yep.
And it wasn't only in one park; it was in the whole state system. There was, so what I had to do was take an area of on a map and circle it, and say, "Hey, can I dig anywhere in this area?" And if they told me you can dig here but not there, and then I stayed away from that area. And if you ask why, they're like, "We just don't want you digging there."
Right.
And it could have been artifacts, but it's just strange that after almost 20 plus years of working state parks, all of a sudden they come up with this rule of you got to get permission to dig a hole.
Uh-huh.
Well, in going by the mammoth tusks, why would that be an issue? It could be an issue because according to their geologists, there's no way that was, the mammoths didn't, because we have mammoths up here in concrete. Yeah. We have skeletons. But, depending on where you were, the geologists say this is what happened to the Earth. The geologists can't be wrong. So, we know the mammoths didn't go that far, so there's no way that you could have found a mammoth tusk. I mean, that's the only thing I can think of remotely that would...
because the mammoths have been found a lot further south, and they've been found down here in California, even in Mexico.
Right.
They ranged around quite a bit.
But then I don't know.
So I think the mammoth tusk mystery might be because of something else that was found.
Maybe.
Mm-hmm.
Because mammoth tusks by themselves is not going to freak everybody out and make it a no-go zone.
I wouldn't
unless
think
they
so,
just didn't want relic hunters there.
Mammoth tusks are common. They're common here anyway. Well, probably in California as well.
It's a possibility it was a full skeleton.
Yeah.
That's not normal.
Huh?
It's a possibility it was a full skeleton. That's not normal.
We've got one here.
No, we don't. It's broken.
Oh, okay. You're talking intact. I got you. Yeah.
I can tell you for a fact that when in the Badlands of Alberta, when they find a full skeleton, that is a no-go zone. It is a huge fine if you are caught anywhere near it.
Okay.
Yeah.
You can't go near that because they're unbelievably rare. To actually find one that
on one hand, unbelievably rare, but on the other hand, I think they've had problems when they dig down into things that old. They find pathogens that our bodies are not used to fighting off. We have no antibodies for them, and they can infect us. And I think that might be part of it.
Yeah,
and and that actually makes common sense, which is rare these days. But you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. So let's see, we've got 20 minutes. Barry, what's going on Into the Fire this week?
Into the Fire, we've got someone that is near and dear to S4. I believe you've had Chris Garcia on. He's coming back again to do readings on air with our chat room and so forth, the ones that come in, and we're going to give a link so that to help that connection out, that he'll be able to be on the air. You'll be able to be on the air so he can see you and get more vibe from you. We've had some great success on that with Angel Lee and Chris himself. We've done this will be the third one. And our chat rooms and everything else, just love to see it and, love to deal with that. And that's the reason why we do it. We do it for our chat room and for our people, because that's why we're all doing it, to get the information out, to help them out with whatever problems they may have. And Chris has got that ability to foresee quite a lot of things, as you guys know.
But wait. Has he ever given you the lottery numbers?
Not yet.
Damn it! Okay. I had to ask.
Yeah, not yet.
What do you guys?
But I will ask him on Tuesday, and if I get it,
ask him for the Washington State Pacific.
Yes, there you go.
Okay. So what's on your conspiracy show on Friday?
We're going to talk about the new. I wanted to mention that on S4 also tonight. Some of these crop circles and some of these odd things that are coming out, and one especially that they believe is the Kovic crop circle that they call the.
I've seen that. Yeah.
Is that not strange?
It looks like a great big COVID particle.
Yes, and then what they did is it seems like they expanded one end of it to make it look bigger. So like there's something there that you need to look at.
Have they taken any cellular structure off the crops that were laid flat?
Some of them, yes, and that's the thing about crop circles. Anymore, we're seeing more and more crop circles, and you're not seeing so much more. You're not hearing about the people that are doing boards than
right.
Making.
And just to clarify for listeners that haven't heard this discussion, a true crop circle actually oftentimes will have radiation traces. Not
right.
always.
The nodes have
busted
radiation.
nodes.
Right.
Yes, exactly.
And the crops actually are not broken when they're laid flat, unlike the board. The guys that claim they made them in England.
Doug and Dave.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's amazing how much more aggregate they have become.
Mm-hmm. The other thing, too, like we were talking about a second ago, is there is a cellular structure change within the crops that are laid flat.
And also there's some kind of EMF that goes on there also.
Right, but there's been many cases where nothing can grow there for years.
Right, exactly. It doesn't act correct, and also there's also these things that have been seen, and lately you're hearing more about these orbs being seen over them, and they're laying down the crop.
I saw a video years ago. It was a Japanese researcher that actually took the video, and you could actually see the orb making the crop circle.
Yes, and that is a great video, and
I've seen that.
Yeah, I don't even know if you can find it anymore though. That's the weird thing.
All the good stuff gets taken off, and all the bullshit gets
all
left
gone.
On.
It's terrible.
So sounds like a great show.
We need to have you guys back for another roundtable over there. We can do some a roundtable. I always enjoy having you guys on air.
Just let us know a date, and we'll be there.
Well, we will work on that shortly.
Excellent. So next week we have Dangers of the Paranormal, and that wraps up April. And into May, we have May 2nd, which is What is May Day All About? Some of us call it Beltane. We'll go into the pagan side. And that's interesting because I went to Christian school my entire life. But the 1st of May was always May Day. And we were taught you're supposed to make a basket and put flowers in it and go knock on your neighbor's door and leave this basket of flowers and run away. Well, they call that something different today, but...
I always heard it was a Russian holiday.
Yeah.
We always got told it's when all the Americans rioted.
Well, that's something in the last 10 years.
I'm just saying.
Right, that's when Seattle gets destroyed because the labor union workers want to bitch. But so May 2nd is What is May Day. We're going to go into Beltane a little bit. May 9th is Mother's Day, so we're talking about mothers and the paranormal. May 16th, obviously Roundtable. 23rd, Alien Races, Who is Who. And mark this on your calendar, May 30th, there will not be a show. There is no show for S4 on May 30th. We will be camping out. So that wraps.
Making marshmallows.
Making marshmallows and roasting wieners.
Oh,
I appreciate that part.
So, Eric,
are you guys going to be Bigfoot hunting or?
No. It's my daughter's birthday. It's my two of our
my
aunts'
birthday
birthdays.
too.
Oh, happy birthday for May 30th.
Yeah.
Yay.
It's my mother-in-law's birthday, my father-in-law's birthday, and Kayla's aunt is 80.
So it's a family camping, and we're all camping.
Camping, tea party, Friend.
Everything you can think of.
Tea
wrapped
party,
into one
frozen
weekend.
party.
So, if we think about it, we will do a pre-record and try to get maybe a pre-record going for May 30th. We'll see what we can do.
Yeah, probably not.
Sounds cool.
Probably not.
So, Eric,
it's
knowing
can I
us,
bring-
knowing us, probably not. Just listen to the old episode. There you go.
So, Eric, can I bring something up before you close the show?
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
Not paranormal stuff, but to all the listeners out there and whoever else is listening, just a thing, because of the warm weather, watch the rivers. They're very cold. We've lost a couple of lives out here in the Chehalis River. A young man just a week or so ago now jumped off a bridge. He's been jumping off for years and years, but never this early in the year.
It's low. They're all low.
And not low. It was high, but the cold
okay.
water.
Okay.
And they haven't found him.
What they don't understand is, it might be hot out, but that water is snow runoff.
Yeah, and
it is cold.
It is cold, and like they said, it probably took a minute or two, and it took his life, and they're still looking for him.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that kind of water will shock your system so hard that you won't be able to make it to shore no matter how good of a swimmer
you have
are.
like 3 minutes before hypothermia takes over.
Yeah, so just be careful out there.
Also, for locals, since you brought that up, you don't ever go in the Skagit River. The Skagit River will take you, and you won't come back.
Also, we've had a hot week.
Yep.
Don't be doing what Kayla does and take your mattress out to the woods and burn it.
Oh my God! I didn't do that.
Yes. Since we're on a safety note, watch your fires. Don't burn garbage. That's been brought up.
Yep.
Lately. Don't burn garbage. It's illegal.
I heard Joe say he saw you burn that mattress.
Really?
Oh my God!
Yeah.
All the way to
Mattress
California.
And stay hydrated, folks. It is warm. Yes. You don't think about that. But leave water out. We have water strategically placed around the property for our dogs. The chickens have their water. Make sure you leave water for your animals. And don't lock them in your car.
Or your kids, Jesus.
Oh, come on.
They're demons.
And one other thing, has anybody noticed that the Fae are extremely active right now?
Well, yeah, it's spring.
Springtime.
Yeah, I know, but I mean,
they're always active.
Active more than any other year that I can remember.
I don't think anything I've noticed has been more. They've been like restless.
Yes, like there's a plan going on.
You gotta admit, the last 2 years have been restless in general. So they're
feeling it.
They're gonna feel
it.
Yeah.
The
well,
one
not
thing
only
I
that,
have,
but you got people. There's a lot of people that might have gotten stimulus checks or other money coming in or things like that are doing full remodels and full cleanouts of their property.
Yeah.
So they're taking away a lot of habitat there.
Well, not to mention, just doing remodels actually pisses off a little. We'll talk about that next week with the paranormal emergencies. But you remodel your home, you do piss off spirits.
Yeah.
Let alone Fae. I mean, depending on what you're doing.
Well, we
outside.
have 2 hotels here, one in Grass Valley, one in Nevada City. They're the oldest structures still around from the 1840s, and someone bought them right before the COVID thing hit, and they've spent the entire time during COVID remodeling these hotels. Right. They haven't opened yet, but I'm waiting for that to open to see what happens.
And they'll be calling you.
Joe,
hopefully. Come clear it. Joe, bring your pointy sticks. So for our listeners, found Forest Moon Paranormal. S4 is the voice of Forest Moon Paranormal. Just go on Facebook, look for Forest Moon Paranormal, join the group, post your paranormal questions, and we can always bring them on the show, or we'll just answer them in the group. Either or. So again, stay safe, and we will see you next week for Paranormal Emergencies. So remember, keep your eyes to the skies.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us tonight on S4, the official voice of Forest Moon Paranormal. You can contact S4 through our website at www.s-4radio.com or on Facebook. Make sure you give us a like on our page and join the Moon Paranormal group. If you are interested in advertising, take a look at our packages and contact Cole or Eric at 1-360-999-2830. Again, thank you. And remember, keep your eyes to the sky.